Better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Friday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you a lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. It is a Red Friday, just 2 days away from the Chiefs and Bills there in Buffalo for the divisional round, the opportunity, the chance to move on to the AFC Championship game, and Patrick Mahomes' first ever road game. That's something that I read about last night.
Nobody's mentioned that yet. It's his what?
Yeah, and they're underdogs in this game, too.
What?
So they've got that going for them. 2.5-point dogs in this game are the Chiefs heading to Buffalo. 45.5 is the total. Probably go under on that one, but we'll see. We'll get into some predictions later on in the show. As a jam-packed Friday for you coming up later on this hour, Todd Lebo, Lee Sterling will break down the weekend's worth of games, the divisional round, the best weekend of the NFL season. We get what is typically the best 8 teams remaining, the hottest 8 teams, whatever you want to call it. 2 games each day, Saturday and Sunday, chances to move on to play for your conference championship. A lot of stuff on the line, legacy games, etc. So Lee Sterling will help you break down those games. We'll talk and hang out with Matt Derrick in the 11 o'clock hour. Chiefs Digest, 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll talk with him about what he saw from the Dolphins, if there's anything positive, or what he saw, not positive things, but what he saw and he liked in that Dolphins game heading into this matchup against the Bills, the previous matchup, how much you can take away from that game, the differences of these two teams from that game earlier this year. Kendall Gammon will be our guest coming up at noon. Chiefs legend, NFL revolutionary. We'll talk with him, hang out with him, and get his thoughts on this trip to Buffalo for the Chiefs. Mick Schaefer will join us. We'll hear from Andy Reid in a Fast Friday coming up in the show as well. And, of course, your text 913-912-4810, the text line to join us. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, Best of Chiefs. So just Chiefs talk coming up at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, over the weekend, we've got the divisional round taken care of for you. Tomorrow, Houston at Baltimore. That's going to be on ESPN Kansas City with KU playing tomorrow at 3 o'clock. But after the KU game at West Virginia is over, we will join that game in progress right here on Sports Radio 810. But you can find it on ESPN Kansas City, Houston and Baltimore 3:30, and then Green Bay, San Francisco 7:15 right here on Sports Radio 810. And on into Sunday with the Chiefs pregame show, Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show right here on Sports Radio 810. And then Tampa Bay, Detroit, 2 o'clock. And, of course, the best postgame show in America.
In the world.
Well, there is a pretty cool post-game show in Liverpool that I've been a big fan of. I don't even like Liverpool, but the post-game show is
they got
dynamite.
A great post-game show. All right, fine.
Great.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead. I guess I'll settle for best post-game show in America.
Yeah, you're top 2 in the world, and you're not 1, but you're top 2.
I'm okay with that, actually. Number 2's fine.
Did a play on that saying. He's top 2 and he ain't 2.
I'll be top 2 and not 1.
You're top 2 and you ain't 1.
A lot of post-game shows.
That's right. Trent McDuffie said L'Jarius Sneed is top 2 cornerback in the NFL, and then was like, I don't even know if is he top 2? No, I mean top 1. We'll hear from Trent McDuffie here in this first hour. He was on the NFL Report podcast with Steve Weish and James Palmer, and they had him on as their guest and spent about, 10, 15 minutes talking with him, and a couple of interesting clips that came from that conversation from Trent McDuffie talking about this defense, where they are between the ears, and how dominant they feel they are, and then the versatility of this defense to go up against a team like the Bills and a quarterback like Josh Allen. So we'll hear from those things, hear from Trent McDuffie about those things as well. Just curious as we start the show here, what's the feeling right now on a Friday, a couple of days before the game gets here? This has been an interesting week for me because typically I sort of go back and forth, the pendulum swinging to, all right, I'm confident this is going to happen, that can I get a good feel on this, or all right, now, I mean, it's just I see some things that are, can go against them, work in favor of the other team, and start getting a little bit, and then, okay, well, you know what? Feeling pretty good about this team, feeling pretty good about this game. That hasn't happened this week. From Monday night, Tuesday morning, like my feeling has been bring it on. Like I've been, and it's probably going to be the reason if they lose, it'll be because of what I feel about the game. It
will be your fault. Yep, yeah, it'll be your fault for sure.
And people will tweet me like, "You were so confident about the game." Well, I'm not guaranteeing a win, but for some reason this week, I haven't wavered in my confidence of the Chiefs going into Buffalo and winning the game. I had a feeling on Tuesday when I said at first part of the show, bring it on. Bring it on. Can't wait. Looking forward to it because I like the matchup for the Chiefs. I don't know how they lost the game in Kansas City earlier this year. They did. I think that's part of an advantage for the Chiefs is to be able to look at that and go, we hurt ourselves so many times. We got to go out there and play better, watching film, all of that stuff. And the way the Chiefs are playing is different than that Buffalo game. I think Buffalo's a little bit different as well, but they are way more banged up than the Chiefs. 2 extra days of rest and a healthier team and a Patrick Mahomes. You've never gone on the road. Oh, and you're an underdog and a legacy game and an over my dead body and maybe a bleep you game from Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs being able to hopefully confuse Josh Allen, pressure Josh Allen. Do they go back-to-back games without turning it over? I don't know. There's so many parts about this game that I really like that I feel confident. Not that they're going to go in there and dominate and guarantee a win, but I feel pretty confident about the Chiefs coming out with a victory on Sunday. And for some reason, that hasn't wavered all week.
I have been mentally preparing for the week I'm going to have to predict the Chiefs season to end. I've been mentally preparing for that for a while.
Yeah.
I think I probably picked against them a couple times in the regular season, but a lot of the games they lost were games they shouldn't have lost. So even that doesn't happen very often these days. And throughout the process of this week, as tends to happen around playoff time, you talk to more people in other cities. You talk to other teams' other fan bases' podcasts, and kind of go around the NFL a little bit. And every time I get asked the question of what's different about this Chiefs team now? Why should this be any different? What will we see from the offense on Sunday? Because when we've been paying attention for the most part, this offense has been a nightmare. I continue on the same slope that I was on last week, which is I loved the Miami Dolphins midseason. I love what the Buffalo Bills have done in the back half of the year. But right now, the Chiefs are playing better football than they were at their lowest. And with the Dolphins then, and now with the Bills, to a lesser extent, but still a noteworthy extent, I think the injuries prevent the opposing defenses from taking advantage of where the Chiefs have struggled. And look, if we're opening up the Galaxy's Best postgame show after the game, talking about the Chiefs' self-inflicted wounds and how they got in their own way again, and a couple of dumb turnovers and bad penalties and a drop and an untracked football, if that's why the Chiefs go home, it'll be the easiest postgame show ever to do. Because I can say all the same things we said week 1 through week 17.
And Andy Reid will say we're close.
We're just a tick off.
We were just a tick off. I mean, we've been there all year. We got to figure it out, back to the drawing board, et cetera, just a tick off.
But they don't have to play perfect.
No.
They got to play, give me an 80 on this. And I think the Chiefs win the game. That's where I'm at. And, not to get too ahead of it, but I think the Chiefs are in a spot to play an 80% clean football game. I think that would be enough.
What was their lowest? You got me thinking when you said as we've gone along the season when the Chiefs were at their lowest, what was their lowest? Because I can make a case for 2 different games of what their lowest was. I think the what would be the most popular answer if I put a poll out there and said what was the lowest game and gave 4 different choices, the choices would be in no particular order: Eagles, Broncos, Bills, Raiders. I think the most voted on would be the Raiders on Christmas Day.
Yeah, you might be right.
And I can make a case for that because they just simply went out there and laid an egg, and you lost at home to the frickin' Raiders.
Yeah.
Okay? On Christmas Day, and you're 9-6, and oh, by the way, you're a game up in the division on the Broncos. You got to play the Bengals, and that's fine. Jake O'Donnell's playing out there. Aiden Zappi is the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals.
And Aiden Zappi and the New England, whatever they are now, is the Belichick list is that's the only game in that stretch you win in 4. You beat the Patriots.
Right.
It follows a Packers loss, Bills loss, Patriots, whoop-de-doo, and then that game on Christmas.
And if you take it back to even beating the Raiders on the road and then the Eagles, since the bye week, you were 2-4 since coming off a bye. And it ended with that Raiders loss. I can make a case for the Raiders was the low point of the season, and then they come back and do what they did against the Bengals, scoring 25 points. Chargers didn't start anybody, didn't resting everybody.
They didn't have any good players.
And then the Dolphins, 26 points.
Yeah.
So after that Raiders 14-point effort, they come out and score 51 points in the next 2 games when they started. But I think it was the Bills.
I did too.
I think the low point was the Bills in the way it ended, because the low point was Also, Patrick Mahomes losing his mind.
I agree.
And when you saw that, that was the culmination of the frustration, culmination of the season's worth of struggles, especially the back half of the season's worth of struggles, the most recent struggles for the Chiefs. The week before that, getting a no call against MVS, then getting that call, the dropped passes, the drop pass against the Eagles for MVS, and along the way, just little things that are just culminating and adding up and adding up. And even in that game, when the Chiefs had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to beat the Bills, an interception in which you're trying to throw the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Epinesa tips it in the air and then catches it. You're down 17-14. You just scored a touchdown. The defense gets you the ball right back, and you're driving, and you get to the 50-yard line in a couple of plays, and then Rashee Rice fumbles. And then the Bills get the ball back. And you're like, really? You got a 2nd and 12. You're in field goal. You're almost in field goal range. Actually, I think you were in field goal range. I think they got a field goal out of it. But 2nd and 12, you throw it to a wide-open Kadarius Toney on the sideline, and it just slips through his hand. And then on 3rd down, you throw it over the middle to a wide-open MVS, who then tries to stop and slips and falls, but the ball lands like 5 feet away from him because he was running where Patrick Mahomes thought he was going to stop. He kept running, and then Mahomes looks over to the sideline. The camera catches him going, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
And then the Kadarius Toney thing happens. I think that was the low point of the season, and it's something else that puts a little more confidence in the Chiefs trying to right that wrong against the Bills in everything that happened in that game, to then fighting their way back up and no showing against the Raiders. Mm-hmm. I get that. The reason I would go Bills over Raiders, Josh, is because they really wanted that Bills game.
Yeah.
You could tell how mad they were at the end of the game because they really wanted that. Raiders, they were just embarrassed.
Right.
Raiders game, they were embarrassed. We didn't show up. We didn't want to be here. Raiders, Antonio Pierce, they took it to us. They kicked our ass. They were more physical. They punched us in the mouth. We weren't ready for that. The Bills, we wanted that game. They put a lot into that game, and they lost.
Especially when you're kind of thinking of the season in like a dot chart or whatever. You think about the slope of the low point. Lions, brutal moment too early in the year. Broncos game, really disappointing. But they had kind of righted the ship, and then they beat the Dolphins in Germany the next week, and it's like, hey, this team looks legit again. My actual first thought when you hit me with the Uno reverse there was, well, Eagles, Packers.
Skip, Dylan, your thoughts.
Dylan's thoughts. Skipping back to Jason. No, you got to reverse the team.
I don't have a green.
+2. Here's my two games. I was really thinking Eagles, Packers, and just deleting the Raiders game from the middle there, because even that game was disappointing to start. And it was like, oh, that felt like the 3-game sequence of a down slope. That was a 3-game sequence of, ooh, maybe it's not just MVS not catching the ball or them not getting this call. Like this, and that was before we knew the Packers offense was going in the direction it really, really was.
Because that Raiders game, if people don't remember, they were down 14-0.
14-0 out of the gate, and it should have been worse. It should have been 21-0, and it definitely should have been 17-0.
Yeah.
That was bad. But they came back, and we all got to enjoy our Thanksgiving. But then you lose that game to the Packers. And again, not that the deep shot and the call would have guaranteed 8 points there, but it was, man, what a frustrating, again, a low point. You go to Lambeau and lose, but you have a chance at home against Buffalo to end their season.
Yep.
End their season. And they, even with the issues along the way, they did enough to do it at the end, minus an inch. And then it's the meltdown. I think game by game, like data pointing and zoom way out national TV view of the team. I think for me, both of those would point to that Bills game being the low point on the field, on the sidelines, on the closeness, on the frustration, on all of that bubbling over, which as we're sitting here kicking it around right now, kind of thinking about it for the first time, I think we're having this conversation for the first time. I wonder if the Chiefs are. Because I imagine that there is a chance, like you said, for some sort of full circle moment of here's what the worst part of our season looked like, and either the Bills are going to end our season this time, or we're going to get some redemption. I don't think that changes who wins. I don't think bulletin board material changes outcomes very often, if at all. But man, if that is yet another point of focus for a team that should be absolutely locked in right now, I'll take it, because it is a really interesting pattern that this season ends up looking like when you turn back from this point and see where this team went.
Off the top of your head, do you remember the two teams that beat Patrick Mahomes twice in the same season?
The two teams that beat Patrick Mahomes twice in the same season.
Dylan?
The Bengals.
Bengals in 21.
They beat Tampa.
Yep.
Did they lose to New England twice in 18?
In 18.
Okay, yeah.
Lose to New England twice in 18. So New England, Cincy.
In his
This would be
first year
first
at the
year,
helm.
Crazy second half, whatever happened, and whatever was going on with the Bengals and Chiefs,
then all of that.
whole thing that ended up happening, and the rivalry being born, and then it would be the Bills. But they've already avenged a couple losses in the regular season against the Bills, or at least one 2 years ago, because they didn't play them last year. So 2 years ago, avenging that loss against the Bills. What those two teams have in common is Tom Brady and Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
almost Tom Brady Jr.
Yeah.
What those two teams have in common is Tom Brady. Just
Tom
ask
Brady.
Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Josh Allen is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah. So it's the quarterback that's been able to do that, whether outplaying Patrick Mahomes or not, but good enough to win a game twice against Patrick Mahomes. Now, the New England Patriots did it by scoring 80 points against the Chiefs.
Really?
43 and 37.
Ugh.
They scored 80 points against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs scored 71. The Chiefs lost 2 games in which they scored 71 points against that same team, and they lost both. 43-40 and 37-31.
The degree of difficulty is a little different for the quarterbacks on each team there.
That's exactly right. Exactly
kidding.
right. It just doesn't happen very often that Mahomes loses to the same team twice in the same season. But if he's done that, the 2 times it's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL that went and made plays when plays had to happen, when plays had to be made. Joe Burrow wasn't great in that 2021 AFC Championship game, but in the fourth quarter he was. In the fourth quarter he was in avoiding sacks and picking up first down with his legs, doing the Patrick Mahomes thing. That's backbreaking. The Chris Jones spending all offseason thinking about the sack that didn't happen. That resulted in a first down. And then later on that same drive, I think it might have been Melvin Ingram in a sack that didn't happen, and Joe Burrow scrambling for another first down to kick the field goal that gave them the lead that the Chiefs went down and then tied it at the end of the game. But the Chiefs would have been getting the ball back around midfield in a tie game if Chris Jones takes Joe Burrow down. And he thought about it all offseason. Those plays in the fourth quarter, difference making. That's what Josh Allen can do, obviously. Yep. He can do those things. I just think the overall sort of package of this game leading up to it, where they played as poorly as they did, they are the healthier team. They've had a couple of extra days rest. The first road game for Patrick Mahomes. He's the underdog. And that being the low point, the rock bottom of the season, the way it ended, I think there's a lot building up into this game to where this feels like it's building up to an over my dead body game from Patrick Mahomes. And when rubber meets the road and the stress reaches its highest, Josh Allen's the one that's like, I've got to win this game. He has to win this game, right? You've been calling for the Bills to finally get on. Why do the Bills always have to go to Kansas City? Always have to go to Kansas City. Finally got a home game. Josh Allen, you're at home. Yeah. You have more pressure on you. There's pressure on Patrick Mahomes because, well, you can't win a road game. He's 0-1 on the road. Josh Allen better not be 0-2 back-to-back years at home against Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Because he lost in the division round to Burrow last year in the Bengals. You lose in the division round at home to the Chiefs this year. It's back-to-back years, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Couldn't beat one of the other best quarterbacks in the league while playing in Buffalo.
This is an even bigger conversation that has so many other branches to it, but I kind of think Josh Allen has gotten to a point right now where, like, him getting got by a cleaner quarterback is part of the story. Like, him being bested by Mahomes or Burrow playing their best version of their game and him having some, like, back-breaking mistakes, kind of just part of the package, which you shouldn't want if you're Josh Allen because you're getting the Brett Favre treatment that way. I mean, it is get a ring and you'll have the stats and the memories for a generation of NFL fans. But that's not where you want to be because that actually makes you the third or fourth quarterback in your own conference if you end up falling that way.
And he was not bested by Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round, nor was Patrick Mahomes bested by Josh Allen. They were heavyweight boxers in that divisional round 2 years ago, going back and forth. And Josh Allen did nothing wrong late in that game. He threw the touchdown, and that was the last time he touched the ball. Chiefs go down in 13 seconds and tie the game, and then the coin flip, and the Chiefs win. Had Josh Allen thrown a bad interception, up 3, and he fumbles the ball and the Chiefs then tie it up,
Totally
then it'd be,
changed.
well,
Sure.
there's the Josh Allen roller coaster.
Yep.
He was brilliant in that game. And Patrick Mahomes was brilliant in that game. And you can argue, well, Patrick Mahomes was more brilliant because the Bills were the number 1 defense in the NFL in that game. Josh Allen was going up against a lesser defense, which, by the way, lost Tyrann Mathieu the 4th play of the game, in which Spagnuolo said the whole game plan was going to be around Tyrann Mathieu in the middle of the field.
That was on last night, and Mike Hughes was also cornerback 2, and Baker. The first name escapes me.
DeAndre Baker.
DeAndre Baker. I almost said
also
Deion
out
Baker.
there on the last drive, covering Gabe Davis.
Well, Mike Hughes is the one that sort of almost – didn't he fall on that Gabe Davis touchdown on that last touchdown with 13
sounds
seconds
right.
left?
Switched at the last second,
Yeah.
putting Snead in a really, really bad spot,
Yeah.
like where the middle of the field was wide open because Tyrann Mathieu.
Because Tyrann Mathieu, and they just destroyed the middle of the field the whole game. And Spagnuolo talked about it, like the game plan was Tyrann Mathieu in the middle of the field. It didn't work because he got injured. But that was an amazing game. It wasn't the Josh Allen coaster through that game, especially late in the game. That's how the Bills win. The Bills win this game because Josh Allen wears a cape. Right. The Chiefs win this game because Patrick Mahomes is good and the defense is one of the best in the NFL. That's one of the other reasons why I like the Chiefs in this game, is because if Josh Allen feels like I have to wear a cape, then do I have to try to fit the ball into these smaller windows? Do I have to take chances in the red zone and not get 3 because we need touchdowns? And also, Josh Allen can wear a cape like he did in the divisional round and just be freaking brilliant.
I don't mean this the way that it's going to sound when I say it, but I am tired of talking about this game. I am ready to watch it.
I can't wait.
Like
man.
I feel that sensation more about this than anything since the Super Bowl. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, and then you get 2 weeks of the Super Bowl and the Chiefs are in it, so I guess this is just the game of the year, which would make sense considering the stakes. But I am palpably ready to see what the bleep happens in this football game because there's so many angles to it.
I'm with you on that. It's a different feeling this year than the Bengals last year. The Bengals last year, it was, I want to watch it, but I'm also scared to watch it.
It was stressful.
I'm scared because I don't want the Bengals to come in back-to-back years and win the game and then be, 4-0 or whatever against Patrick Mahomes and Burrow back-to-back years in the AFC Championship game. And, oh, my God, and Patrick Mahomes' ankle and what's it going to look like. And, oh, my God, I can't wait to watch the game, but I'm so scared of the outcome.
Yep.
I can't wait to watch this game. And I'm fascinated from so many different levels. I'm not scared of the outcome. If they lose, they lose.
Yep.
Because last year was you can win the Super Bowl. Oh, my God, you can win the Super Bowl. This is they can win the Super Bowl, but if they win, they're going to go up against a better team on the road.
Yeah.
More than likely, the Baltimore Ravens. So can they win the Super Bowl? Yeah, they can. They can. But they don't have nearly the chance of winning the Super Bowl that they had last year. And I don't hate the Bills and Josh Allen the way, for whatever reason, that I do the Bengals.
I think that makes a ton of sense.
For some reason, it was
fan base and a history of struggling and pain in Buffalo.
I mean, there are certain things in Buffalo where you've got some, people like, oh, Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. Whatever. I mean,
if you're a Bills fan, you're allowed to say it. You can be wrong. It's fine. It's okay.
It's like your fart. I mean, everybody likes their own scent. I mean, it's like
I'm brave enough to say I don't.
I'll root for Josh Allen because I'm a Bills fan. I'll root for Patrick Mahomes because I'm smart. It's just like things like that.
I like this Ravens team too, and I like that. The AFC now.
I like Lamar.
This, of course, this AFC has good vibes right now, and for some reason, the Bengals are the one that muck that up for me. I don't know why, but they do have some spicy energy that can be a little something.
I think all 4 teams are fun storylines in the AFC.
Absolutely,
to a
great.
degree.
Absolutely great.
Obviously, I want the Chiefs to be the best story, but if the Bills go on and win, hey, I think Josh Allen seems like a really good dude. Not a fan of Stephon Diggs, but I think Josh Allen seems like a really good dude.
No, I don't think I want to watch Sean McDermott hold a Lombardi. All right, I'm out.
I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I'm trying to separate Josh Allen from McDermott and all of that stuff.
I hope Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl for the Arizona Cardinals in 8 years or something. I'd like for him to get his NFC Tom Brady story somewhere down the road.
I'm with you on that. I would like that, yes. I like Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
And I think it would be the ultimate FU for, if he wins MVP and the Super Bowl in the same year. And the Houston Texans are just a fun story.
Yep, great.
And it will be really annoying if the Houston Texans become like, the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's like, oh, they did this early, and now they're a juggernaut. It's like, oh, remember when we thought that was a cool story? Bleep them. Because there's a lot of people around the AFC that thought the 2018 Chiefs to beat the New England Patriots was a fun story.
Yeah.
And then winning the Super Bowl, fun story. Patrick Mahomes is just so good.
Oh, Kansas City. Who's not happy
like,
for Kansas City right now?
I hate him. I hate Mahomes. I hate Andy Reid. I hate every one of them. I hope they lose. I hope they lose every game. Faking an injury. The refs have their back. I'm going to throw this picture of Mahomes and a referee kissing. I'm just going to keep putting that picture out there. The referee and Mahomes exchanging jerseys at the end of the game. I hate them all. Hate them all. 2018 Time Machine. Dude, this Mahomes is fun to watch.
Hey, Dylan, can you mark that for me? No reason.
I have a feeling that's going to come back to bite me. You can't take that out of context. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. And I do want to get into a conversation about pressure on quarterbacks. I think it'd be interesting. We talk about Lamar Jackson. We talk about Josh Allen. Which quarterback has more pressure this weekend to find a way to win that game? Both of them playing at home. We'll talk about that coming up next. Josh Allen with Matt Derrick coming up in the 11 o'clock hour and also getting some Chiefs. But there is news in the NFL injury-related. I'll give you one piece of information, then Josh has more pertinent information. John Harbaugh has ruled out Mark Andrews from playing this weekend, so he is not going to be activated off the IR. Practice this week, took some, quote, major steps forward, literally, on that ankle, but he will not play against the Houston Texans. That's the news out of Baltimore. There's news out of Buffalo.
Yes, there is. Elena Getzenberg tweets out that Bills coach Sean McDermott.
Whatever Elena Wantzenberg, she Getzenberg.
Well, the Bills aren't going to Getzenberg Gabe Davis back.
He's out.
So here's who Sean McDermott has ruled out just now, just in that last commercial break. Safety Taylor Rapp is out. Wide receiver Gabe Davis is out. Cornerback Christian Benford is out. And linebacker Balin Spector is out. So that is a lot of guys ruled out there. Not any rulings yet on just like kind of looking at the rest of the injury report. No news on...
No news on Terrell Dodson, Rasul Douglas, Teron Johnson, and Terrell Bernard.
Dodson was the one that I was looking for.
Because Tyrell Dodson was limited practice. Nothing on Terrell Bernard?
Nothing on Bernard, no.
Because he was a DNP the last 2 days.
Yeah, he hasn't practiced either the last 2 days.
And he left in an air cast on a cart.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah.
And he's their best linebacker, by the way. He's maybe their most important defender.
Benford didn't practice all week. He'll be out,
right.
And then again, Bernard hasn't practiced all week, but he has not been ruled out. Bernard is probably the big one there that we don't know the answer to. A lot of these, though, again, like Tyrell Dodson, we're talking about linebackers who can step in at all. Tyrell Dodson's been limited all week.
So the 5 players, 5 players that did not practice Wednesday and Thursday, 4 of them have been ruled out. The only one that has not been ruled out is Terrell Bernard, who left in an air cast on a cart.
I don't think I've ever seen someone leave with an air cast and then be questionable the next week. I've never seen that before.
And not be ruled out on Friday.
Yeah.
In a short week.
And so the other thing here is, from Elena Getzenberg, she says that McDermott said this on WGR 550 in Buffalo. So that wasn't like a press conference thing there, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that he maybe had an interview hit. I have no idea what
probably does like a Friday morning thing weekly with that radio station probably.
So maybe it'll end up being a later designation for Bernard. There are so many team names that are I'm scrolling through.
Tyrell Dodson and Terrell Bernard.
And that's
they're both linebackers.
With Teron Johnson being limited with a concussion.
And Taylor Rapp.
Taylor Rapp also
being ruled out with a calf injury.
I thought we had it hard with Justin Ross, Justin Watson, Jalen Watson.
And Rasheed Rice.
And, well,
because of the Ross and Rice. Because I tweeted out something about Rice, and I said Ross. And then I had to delete it and then put Rice instead of Ross.
Which one was the first?
I meant Rice, but
and
I
then
said
John Ross retired.
That's right.
So we've had our path through that. That's legit big news there. We'll keep an eye on it.
If you're wondering about those, and we'll take a break. Taylor Rapp played 55% of the snaps against the Chiefs in the first go around. The other players ruled out. Balin Spector played 0%, but 67% of special teams reps. He also started against the Miami Dolphins. He was the main backup against the Miami Dolphins. He started against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they lost him, and so that was starting for an injured Tyrell Dodson. He was filling in there. And then Christian Benford was a starter. Christian Benford actually caused the fumble on Rasheed Rice. Christian Benford's the guy that stripped Rasheed Rice of the ball. Teron Johnson's the one that recovered it. Christian Benford being out means that Rasul Douglas, and then either on the other side it's going to be Kyer Elam or Dane Jackson or DeMar Hamlin or Cameron Lewis, guys that are not good. Let's just call a spade, guys that are not good. So there's at least one guy as a cornerback that needs to be in there against the Chiefs that will not be in there against the Chiefs. And their backup linebacker to their linebackers that were already injured that started against the Steelers, he is also out, and we'll see about what I believe is their best defender, Terrell Bernard, if he is going to be playing. I think their most important defender, Terrell Bernard, if he's going to be playing. Not ruled out yet, but did not practice the last 2 days. He's the only one of the 5 players that did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday that has not been ruled out yet. We'll see. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Lee Sterling, Todd Lebo, next.
And by how much? You're about to find out from national sports handicapping champion Lee Sterling on The Zone. Log on to ParamountSports.com or call toll-free 800-400-9741 to get started.
Welcome back into The Zone on this Red Friday. Is it the final Red Friday? We don't know. If the Chiefs win, it won't be. It won't be. I know this. We're going to talk to Lee Sterling throughout the Super Bowl regardless from Paramount Sports. And, Lee, this is such a great weekend of football, and you've got other things on your mind, too, with the UFC. Paramount Sports is humming right now.
It is. Even hockey. How about this? In hockey, since December 10th, we're 51-24-1. So it's been insane. Basketball is winning big. Hockey over 780 units up since December 10th. Basketball almost 500 units up. Football, 16 out of 21 winning weeks, another 4-2 weekend. And UFC, our biggest card ever. I've never had a selection this big. We rate our selections only from 10 to 50 units. First ever 100-unit UFC selection. If they want to get it, $77. And we're not talking about – some people, Todd, will give out a minus 250, minus 400, minus 500 favorites. Anyone can do that. We're talking about a fight where I'm going to give you actually an underdog. The underdog is my 100-unit selection. How do you get it? 7 selections for $77. Saturday night's fights in the UFC, $297 from Toronto. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Let's talk some National Football League. We've got the divisional round. We got 2 games you can hear right here on Sports Radio 810 on Saturday. Let's start with Baltimore. Buffalo's the nightcap at the end. Houston at Baltimore. This is the big deal for Lamar Jackson. He hasn't played the playoff game since 2020. Nope. His playoff numbers aren't that good. I think they're the better team for sure, but they're a 9.5-point favorite. We haven't seen them play in a while.
No. And we've seen it happen before. They come off a long extended period, 2 to 3 weeks, where the quarterback hasn't started, and then they lay a big egg. If Lamar Jackson loses the game, he would drop to 1-4 in the playoffs, and that would equal Dak Prescott. A couple other guys I noticed also, not on Dak's level, but Alex Smith, 1-4 in the playoffs. So was Billy Kilmer. So they don't want to see that happen. I think they're the better team, but can you imagine? This is a rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, played so well last week that they even benched him and said, oh, we don't need you in here anymore. We got such a big lead. He was that good. He was that good the week before. He's been that good all season long. They did play the first week of the season, and the Ravens won 25-9, but Houston was moving the ball up and down the field in C.J. Stroud's debut. Texans' defense has seen Lamar Jackson. I think that helps some. And also their offensive coordinator, Bobby Stolk, he's shown that in the second meeting, especially against Cleveland, he was able to mix it up and attack their weaknesses here. So I think 9.5 points is just way too much here. I think Baltimore wins 27-23, but I'll take the 9.5 in Houston.
Yeah, I think Lamar will take it in any way. In any way to get that playoff monkey off his back.
You think in a year or two we might see Patrick Mahomes and C.J. Stroud on the cover together as like the 2 best quarterbacks?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's what these games are about. You make your legacies right now, and that's what Lamar Jackson needs to do. He's already been an MVP. He may be an MVP again, but he's got to go win some playoff games for sure. Now, it's not a big quarterback matchup with San Francisco because Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, but Jordan Love has come on, got gangbusters and played great. It's still monstrous underdog here for the Packers on the road at San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't like going against hot quarterbacks. If you do that, let's look at over the last 15, 20 years. You went against Patrick Mahomes. You went against Aaron Rodgers. You went against Tom Brady. You're a big loser. Even though Jordan Love has been great, and he's kind of a combination between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers here. He can sit there and throw on that back foot and throw some, laser shots. I don't know if he's going to be successful. Why? Because I think San Francisco is going to slow down the Green Bay running game. And if Aaron Jones cannot pick up 5, 6, 7, 8 yards like he was against Dallas, and he is held to 2-3 yards, and they have a bunch of 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s, it's going to be a lot tougher. And then also the 49ers, when they've been healthy, especially on offense. When Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey start a game, just one loss against Baltimore. I think that extra time, sometimes, there's rust. I think it helps them here. I think that San Francisco pulls away late, 34-21.
All right, on Sunday, we've got a very interesting game, I think. Detroit finally got their first playoff win since 1991. They get to play at home because Dallas lost, so they get another home game. Tampa was not highly thought of heading into this year, and they got, I think, probably a little bit lucky to play a Philadelphia team that was just off the rails. But Tampa played great. Could have been worse if they'd have caught the ball a little bit. What do you think about the Bucs going on the road and playing at Detroit? Detroit's almost a touchdown favorite.
You hate backing teams that have not done it before, but I think Tampa Bay got to play the worst team in the playoffs. I thought Philadelphia was horrendous. Now, Dallas didn't play well. I just think that Philadelphia quit. I mean, they didn't even want to engage on defense here. So Tampa Bay is going to have some problems here. When they faced the Lions early in the season, and the Lions won 20-6 in Tampa as a 3-point favorite, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't play in the game. He was out with a hamstring injury. David Montgomery ended up suffering bruised ribs in the second quarter and did not play in the second half. Bucs needed that 5-1 finish just to win the division at 9-8. So I think the Lions are more balanced and explosive on offense. They have the number 2 run defense, and I think Tampa Bay needs to have that running game to make everything work here. So they'll also get back C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the Lions secondary. He's kind of that guy, the glue guy there. So I think that Tampa is going to be just like I mentioned Green Bay in a lot of third and long situations. And just when you always want to trust Baker Mayfield, he usually lets you down here. I like Detroit here. I think they're the right side, 30-17.
Yeah, they're a good team, and they seem to have everything working for them. Now, you want to talk about legacy. Let's talk about the AFC Divisional One in Buffalo. Josh Allen's been a great quarterback. He's been outstanding. He's just not been Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has MVPs and Super Bowl rings, and Josh Allen has beaten Patrick Mahomes multiple times, just never in the postseason. They finally have the Chiefs at home. Can the Bills get this done, or are the Chiefs going to ruin their parade again?
I think the difference here is defense for Kansas City. I don't think the Buffalo defense is anything special. There was a couple breakdowns early in the game last week where Pittsburgh in the first 2 drives allowed themselves to just fall too far in the hole. You look at the game from the first quarter on, I thought the game was played evenly. I thought Pittsburgh was moving up and down the field. 6 different players, 6 different linebackers and DBs for Buffalo were hurt in that game last week, all listed as questionable. Even if, let's say, 5 of the 6 play, they're at like 80, 85%. They're not 100%. I think that Patrick Mahomes showed, wow, what he's all about last week. Playing in that kind of cold weather, I don't think any other quarterback could have been able to do that here. Even with Kansas City playing maybe at one of their lowest levels, they probably should have won that first game, except for, they ended up having their receiver line up Kadarius Toney offsides, and that cost them that 49-yard touchdown. I think Buffalo turns the ball over too much here. Josh Allen, they have developed some tight end play. They've got 2 tight ends you got to look out for, but they have not developed and found a second receiver. I mean, what's going on there? I like Kansas City here. I think they're the right side, 28-24.
Well, that'll make Chiefs fans happy for sure, and I know you want to make some other people happy with a lot of action at Paramount Sports. What have you got for this weekend?
Yep, UFC, like I mentioned, 7 selections, $77, first ever 100-unit max wager. That's ready to go right now. And also you want to get the rest of the playoffs, 197 through the Super Bowl, and it will include, just came out, Reba McEntire's going to sing the national anthem. My daughter's hit 10 straight national anthems, so we'll have that for you. She goes for 11 straight there. Also hockey. You can get hockey from now through the Stanley Cup. Mentioned we're on a 51-24-1 run there. Basketball or hockey, $5.97, or do a combo pack of 2 of those, both of them together, 7:50. Everything's up and available. ParamountSports.com.
Oh, we can't wait. Great to see how this pick's going to work out on Saturday night and these NFL picks as well. Lee, we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, be talking about the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. More Zone coming up next on Red Friday on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. Kendall Gamble will join us at noon. We're going to talk with Matt Derrick here in a second from 41 is the Mike podcast and also Chiefs Digest. Or we can flip those, whatever he prefers. I don't know. Love 41 is the Mike podcast. Also, these guys are deranged lunatics. That's the only way I can describe it. Matt Derrick and Nick Jacobs are deranged lunatics.
You're right, but why?
Do you know what time they record? So, you know what? I'll let Matt weigh in.
You
here.
let the lunatic weigh in?
No, I want Matt to be in here when I call him a deranged lunatic to his face.
Okay, Matt, you're a deranged lunatic. I don't know why yet, but I do know this to be factually correct.
Yes. You are a deranged lunatic, Matt. Okay, I just want you to know that.
We're about to find out why.
You and Nick Jacobs are both deranged lunatics.
Not clarifying it for
I
me.
know Nick is for sure. I mean,
You're both deranged lunatics.
have you seen the way he dresses?
Yeah, that's the only thing about him that makes him seem sane to
Has
me.
nothing to do with that. Matt, you want to tell Josh what time you guys recorded your 41 is the Mike podcast after the Chiefs-Dolphins game?
Oh, man. I don't remember for sure.
You said on the podcast, you said, well, it's now 3:15 in the morning right now when we're
That sounds
recording
about
this.
right. Yeah.
You guys are morning, I mean?
People
No,
needed
the
it.
people need it.
Just thinking about it. Oh, by the way, it was Saturday night.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Sunday night game where people are Monday, people got to work or whatever. Nick Jacobs got a busy job. Matt's very busy. He's got a lot of stuff to go on. You know, Monday, you got the press conferences and stuff like that. No. Game's over. Well, we got to record this thing at 3 in the morning. I mean, you guys are nuts.
Not all of us have this cushy job where we can wake up at 9:30 and get on the air at 10 and put in 4 grueling hours of work and go home.
I know. 4 in the door.
And fix up Guaranteed Foods for all the kids and everything.
It doesn't take me long.
and
That doesn't take long.
then watch all the games and then go to bed at 11 and get your 10 hours of sleep. And
This is an actual question. I'm not even being a smart aleck either. I am just genuinely curious about this. When you guys recorded after the games, is it because you want your fresh initial thoughts for that? Is there something else too? Like, you know, we're not going to wait a day or two to record this. We're going to do it right now. This happened. The game's over. Press conferences are over. Both of you guys are home, done with your jobs. Let's get together. Let's record this thing.
I mean, if we're getting down to like making the sausage and everything,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. I'm curious because I know you guys do it after games, but it's different when it's like a noon game. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. You guys were talking.
Sure. And it depends on the days because, you know, if that had been a Sunday game, well, you know, poor Nick, I mean, especially if that game had been on NBC.
True.
He would have had the post-game show. He would have had Sunday sound off. He would have had the 10 o'clock and everything. So he might not get home till good grief knows when. And then he's had a long day on top of that. So that might have been the case where we go to Monday. But it's the playoffs. You know, the people need the 41 is the Mike podcast.
I know. I was listening to it on Sunday, and I'm like, it's already out? And then you guys,
hey, I mean,
you guys are talking. He said it's 3:15. I'm like, you are freaking nuts, man. What are you doing?
The people need their content, and we're trying to do that.
Hey,
so.
you know what? Good for you. Good for you. That's the dedication. That's the dedication. Did you guys are recording an hour-long podcast at 3:15 in the morning?
And I need to, just because I do like to joke and everything, but I have never seen anyone in my life in this business who takes as many notes as you do and generates as much paperwork.
I know.
And has as much going on because I see it. I mean, you document everything.
I try.
It's
and
amazing.
And then I keep everything, and then I don't know. It's a hoarder, is what I am.
I mean, and I bless you for it because I know that you could go back and say, well, you know, Matt, 3 years ago, you said,
I'd never record a podcast at 3 in the morning. The hell's your problem? It's right here. I put it in quotations. That means those were your exact words, and it's in ink.
Oh, and if I had not had enough hot chocolate to get me through that game, you know,
goodness.
and the nice cozy press box, it might have been a problem.
You guys describing the walk back to the car. You described it. It sounds
that was brutal. I'm not gonna lie.
Miserable.
That was
the coldest you've ever been.
Yeah, that was it. I mean,
Travis Kelce called it shockingly cold.
Yeah, It was, and like I said, first world problem. But I was walking to my car into the wind, and that was not pleasant.
Travis Kelce was mic'd up, and we didn't cut the mic'd up part because it was just a very brief thing. He says he's walking out on the field. He's like, "Ooh, it warmed up. It's nice out here." And then on the podcast with Jason Kelce, it was shockingly cold. It was the worst game. It was so cold. It burned. You'd be on the bench the second you took the coat off. It was like, oh, my God, it's so cold. And he's out on the field. I mean, honestly, though, after the game is over, he's looking and talking about how it's so cold. During the game, mic'd up, he's going, it's warm. It warmed up out here. I mean, that's sort of the mindset I guess you have to have.
Yeah.
It also could be him trying to convince himself, trying to tell himself, it's warm. It's warm. I'm warm. It's all good. It's warm. Because you just got to simply get through the game. You got to get through the game and try to be the tougher team. And they were. They were clearly the better team on the field. They were the tougher team. And early on, the mindset was we're going to be physical and we're going to make them not want to be here anymore. And they did.
Yeah, that was absolutely the goal the entire week. I mean, Andy Reid laid it out for us, when he said, hey, you can't bank on the cold doing the work for you. You have to back it up and you have to do it. And their mindset was that, yes, they knew they had a warm weather team coming in. And they would never use the word soft. Other people might use that word, but Chiefs never said that. But their mentality was absolutely that this team, if you hit them in the jaw when it's 4 below 0, they're not getting back up.
Usually the jaws shatter at 4 below 0 when you get hit in the
Helmet
jaw.
shatter too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What did you see in that? So we talk about the physicality, the toughness there in that game specifically against the Dolphins, whether that's translatable to the Bills, who are a cold weather team, all of that stuff. What did you see in that game that you liked, that you took away from that Dolphins victory that maybe is sustainable?
I mean, honestly...
Not saying the physicality is not. I'm just saying in general.
No, I mean, honestly, everything except the red zone offense. I mean, everything else about that game was spot on. I mean, I can't fault the defense for really anything that happened in that game. I mean, you give up 7 points to the Dolphins. That's a dominating performance. It was the worst, really, performance of the Dolphins offense the entire season.
Yeah.
And 2 of their 3 worst performances all season came against the Chiefs. So I think that's pretty good indication of what kind of defense you have. So there's absolutely nothing there. If anything, I mean, I think there's certainly some things that, you saw the Chiefs do defensively, some new looks, different things that they hadn't shown before that shows you that, hey, Steve Spagnuolo still got some tricks, and he's going to have some tricks this week too, some things that Josh Allen hasn't seen. Offensively, I think there is probably something to, the concept of shortening the bench a little bit as far as the receivers go. I mean, if Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice can give you 200 yards every week, between 2 of them, just take it. Yeah. Anybody else can give you anything else, great, but that's fantastic. Isaiah Pacheco running the ball hard in the cold in the playoffs is a winning formula. The only thing that really was there that wasn't there was the deep ball.
Yeah.
And
it was
there were opportunities. Yeah. There were opportunities, but yeah. So
I called that good news, bad news with the deep ball. That for most of the season, Matt, we were saying, well, those aren't even available. Like, you just got to – what if you just threw it deep just for S's and G's, and tried to force it? They're not even giving you an opportunity to go deep. Good news, they are. Bad news, you're still not connecting on it. So, but the positive side of that would be the second can't happen without the first. So at least there are opportunities to hit one of those. You got to do it, though. If they're going to have single high and they're going to play man-to-man on the outside and let you take some chances – you got to connect. And I think Patrick Mahomes, all 3 of those deep passes to Mecole Hardman were connectable passes or an obvious penalty that was not called. And one of them could have been a touchdown that Mecole Hardman, apparently, if he just extended his arms, could have touched him. But then he pulled his arms back and slowed down, the one over the middle I'm talking about, not the one down the sideline where he never saw it. So it was like, I hated the effort from Mecole Hardman. He didn't see it. He looked back, the ball was in the air, and then as he's looking up, the ball's falling, right? Terrible timing, but also Gehrig yesterday said, you got to expect the ball to come your way. So when you're running down the sideline, if you expect the ball to come your way, you're looking up. You're not looking straight back. You're looking up because that's where the ball is going to be coming, not just looking back and running like, oh, is he going to – oh, wait, he's looking at me. He doesn't have the ball. Where's it at? The one over the middle is egregious. Egregious.
And I mean, I will give the receivers and Hardman a little bit of a pass on this one, just a small one, but because that was a difficult.
Mahomes has given him a longer pass, and he's not taking advantage.
That was a difficult night to catch the football. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, not only was the ball probably not coming out of the quarterback's hands exactly the way they wanted to, but once it was getting in the air, the wind was affecting it. I think Mahomes did a better job of managing that than Allen did, or not Allen. I'm getting my weeks ahead of ourselves. Tua. Because Tua has a high ball, and and he certainly was affected more. I mean, he had some balls get hung up and everything. Maybe he, there was, talk about what he wasn't on the injury report, but we know that he's a little bit dinged up, so maybe that played a factor too. But that even at the Tyreek touchdown, I tell you what, I mean, that was just bad luck because Tyreek might be one of the only maybe 3 receivers in the league who can make that play. Because there's truth to the fact. I mean, Tyreek has said it, and the numbers actually back it up. Catching the ball at Arrowhead deep is hard. I mean, it's
at night.
At night.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's weird. I mean, the lights are weird. The wind and the way it swirls is weird. Tyreek made an absolutely great adjustment on that ball, and he knows the stadium. So, and he's the best tracker probably in the league.
That's what I was going to say. He's exceptional. He's one of the best trackers of the football in the air that I've ever seen. And I'll be honest, I sort of take it for granted when you see the receivers not named Tyreek Hill with Mahomes laying the ball out there that you're like, how was that not caught?
Yeah.
Well, because he didn't track it, because he wasn't good at tracking it in the air. I mean, the difference between, and we're talking about McCole Hardman, but the difference between Sky Moore and Tyreek Hill tracking the ball in the air is, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a difference between Willie Mays playing center field and me playing center field.
Well,
I think you can go get it.
Might be a little overstated.
I think you can go get it.
Okay. I don't think you can go get it like Willie Mays. I mean, I think Jason and I went opposite directions on that, in your honor.
I'd be like Juan Gonzalez playing center field.
There it is.
There we go. I like that one. I'm trying to think of like a bad. It's different. We'll use Royals examples. It's the difference between Carlos Beltran and Kerry Robinson. When Beltran would glide everywhere and make it look easy because he just tracked it so beautifully, and then Kerry Robinson climbed the fence for the ball to land on the warning track.
Didn't Nori Aoki get hit in the ball?
Nori Aoki, yeah,
with
that's
the ball?
right. I like that. Nori Aoki is Sky Moore, Carlos Beltran is Tyreek Hill. I like that's a much more recent one. That's not an obscure one like Kerry Robinson in the middle of 110 loss season.
Nori Aoki also always made it look like a journey. It was always up and back and over and back, and then sometimes he caught it.
He was Magellan crossing the sea.
Yes.
There was no direct route.
Yes.
There was
no such thing.
Weaving around and all of that stuff. And Beltran was just gliding. It looked like he was always coasting, even though he's going full speed. He just ran like a freaking gazelle.
One of the more wholesome moments of that 2014 playoff run was when him and Kane were in the corner because Kane ran all the way over because he didn't even trust that he caught it, and they were both surprised
and then
that he had caught the ball.
He looked in his glove. And the ball was in the glove. I found it. The ball caught my glove. Well, aren't you supposed to catch the ball? In theory, yes, but the ball caught my glove. It was great. Matt Derrick is with us. This is one of the things I wanted to ask you, and we're talking about it right now, so let's just address it here because we're talking about the wide receivers. So at practice is Kadarius Toney and Justin Ross, and Sky Moore is on the injured reserve. He's limited. But Toney and Ross limited both days. Sky Moore would have to be activated. Are you okay with seeing any of those guys out there? Or you mentioned sort of the shortened bench, or just my team's on the floor. These are the guys. They've been the guys the last few weeks. Let them go and play with the wide receiver rotation that you have. Or are you okay if Kadarius Toney's active and is a part of the offense in some way, shape, or form?
I mean, I think I would be okay with the lineup as it is. My team's on the floor.
Me too.
As Norman Dale would say.
Yep.
One is that, I mean, with Sky in particular, hasn't been a full participant yet. Mm-hmm. So, and keeping with Andy Reid's MO, week of ramp up, second week's a better chance of him playing. So I'd be surprised if he gets activated this week, especially after, they had an opportunity. They had a opening on the 53 with Cam Jones going down.
Yeah.
Could have replaced it and said they bring up another linebacker with Cole Christensen. So they had a spot there that if they were going to bring up Sky this week would have been the logical place. So I think it looks more likely would be next week if the Chiefs win. But when it comes to Kadarius Toney and Justin Ross, you're talking about two guys who are still, a little dinged up. They're not 100%. So what do they give you that you're not already getting? I mean, that's the thing to me. I mean, Justin Ross might give you a handful of snaps in a personal situation, but honestly, is there any scenario where you would throw the ball to Justin Ross that Rashee Rice isn't maybe giving you already what you get there? Is there anything that a 80 or 90% Kadarius Toney is going to give you that a maybe 100%-ish Mecole Hardman isn't already giving you? So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a puzzle because you have to fit in all the other roster positions too. You've already got 5 receivers active. I mean, them coming back would be one. Do you put somebody down from the receivers to bring one of these guys up?
That feels excessive.
Yeah,
they've been bad, but
yeah, I mean, come on, man. Mecole Hardman had a rough day, but you don't have to do that to him. Come on, man. It is humane, but I get it, but I wouldn't go that route.
That's Joshua Brisco for you.
Yeah, welcome everybody.
Going there. Or, do you go lighter in another position? Well, pick your spot. I mean, you're not going to do that at tight end. You're not doing it anywhere on the offense. Offensive line, no. Running back, no. Defensive line this week, no. Not with Derek Nottie banged up. If you already brought up your linebacker for ostensibly for special teams because Cam Jones was a big part of your special teams. I mean, I can't see a place, honestly, right now where I'd say I'd rather have the 6 snaps from Justin Ross over somebody else. So I mean, and once again, I think there's a certain logic to keeping the rhythm. The guys who are playing the most, keeping them sticking out there because once again, a handful of snaps, you're not going to be your best. I mean, you're really talking about. For me, if Toney and Ross were going to be out there, they would be gadget players.
Yeah.
I mean, not because of who they are, just because of their injuries, where they're at, the recovery and everything. You're not going to ask them to go out there and play you 40 snaps, and that's not what they're prepared for. So, to me, I don't know if you're really getting anything from those guys that you just don't get else from the roster and just stick with the guys you have and give them the most work possible.
Visiting with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. What they did against the Miami Dolphins, is that a recipe for this weekend and then to continue through the playoffs? Can they be a team that is defense heavy, physical, run the football, yards after catch with their offensive recipe is Mahomes and then Kelsey, Pacheco, Rice. Those 3 guys, like those 4 guys, Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, Rice, and that defense is, that the MO is that the blueprint to where this team can do that against the Bills, what they did against the Dolphins, and then on into whoever they face off against next week if they get by Buffalo.
I mean, yeah, to me, it's a pretty simple formula. Offensively, you got the triplets. You got Kelsey, you got Rice, you got Pacheco. Just those 3 guys can give you probably 75% of the offense that you need. Play great defense, as Nick has been talking about on our podcast, for several weeks now. I mean, this team's not giving up more than 24 points. So go out there and get your 25 points, and you're going to win every single week.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I mean, it is the formula. If you're the offense, make sure if you can get 25 points, you're going to win that game because this defense is not giving up more than that to anybody, I don't think.
Is that part of the reason why they're 2 of 6 in the red zone? Is not because they don't want to score, but there might be a mentality that if you've got the 3 points, you don't have to do anything stupid. Mind you, I don't think Travis Kelce is thinking, don't do something stupid and then drops the football at the 7-yard line, which he would have had one-on-one with a defender to score a touchdown. I don't think Creed Humphrey is thinking, well, we've got 3, so let me roll the ball back to Patrick Mahomes in the shotgun in a bad snap. I don't think Juwan Taylor is thinking, well, we've got 3 already, so let me get chucked from behind and then fall into Justin Houston as well, which not one time did they mention on the broadcast that Juwan Taylor gets pushed from behind by the defender and then he hits Justin Houston. Not to defend Juwan Taylor because he hasn't earned benefit of the doubt. That was an iffy block. It was a block in the back, but it's the same as when there's a kick-catch interference where the defender was blocked into the receiver, right? I mean, they easily do that. That's what happened to Juwan Taylor. I don't think that was, well, we got 3. So is there part of a mentality of when they're in the red zone, don't do anything stupid because you don't want to kick field goals, but you know with this defense, kicking field goals can actually win you the game as opposed to years past? Or is there something bigger going on that we're just not seeing their ability to execute when they get down there?
I mean, I do think that there is something bigger going on there, and it probably maybe is just a little bit of the confidence factor. I mean, this might just simply be this team needs to go down. If they can put together, 3 straight red zone touchdowns, maybe they'll get the block out of their heads and everything. But right now, I do think it's a little bit of off, game planning wise. They probably are getting a little bit too cute in the red zone, trying to make something happen. We haven't seen necessarily last week the trick plays or anything in the red zone. We haven't seen Hungry Pig right, but I think the play calling have gotten a little too cute at times. I think that even if it's subconsciously, and I don't think it's entirely subconsciously, because I do think that this is part of the instructions, but I think part of it absolutely is you're in the red zone. Yes, you've got the defense. Do not turn the football over. And that seemed like a very concentrated effort from Mahomes last week. And I think it's especially been the last couple of games for the first team at least has been don't turn the football over. You're going to be fine as long as you just keep getting points. Yeah. Just don't make stupid mistakes. And that can come back to being one of those self-fulfilling prophecies that if your overriding philosophy in the red zone is don't turn the football over, well, you may not turn the football over, but you're certainly probably not going to get a touchdown.
They ran 18 plays in the red zone. 8 of them were runs, 10 of them were passes. 11 of them were passes. 1 ended up being 8 of them were handoffs. 10 attempts, 1 scramble by Patrick Mahomes. And one
cracked helmet.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those attempts was the throwaway on the roll from Creed Humphrey back to Patrick Mahomes was a throwaway. Another one of the incomplete passes was the miscommunication up front at the offensive line on 3rd down and goal when Tooney, Creed, and Trey Smith, the 3 of those guys blocked 2, and a free rusher came between Tooney and Donovan Smith. And it's frustrating because Kelsey's about to bust wide open. Mahomes is waiting. The back comes out of the backfield and exits left. The linebacker's crossing the face of Patrick Mahomes, and Kelsey's one-on-one with the corner, and he's about to cut right into a wide open space, but Mahomes has to turn around and just throw the ball away because there's a free rusher. And then he gets up and he looks at the interior offensive line, and he's saying something to him. I can't see what he's saying, but he's clearly mad. Then it shows him on the sideline, frustrated, and Andy Reid has to go over and tap him on the shoulder pads, as sort of to calm down. And I think the frustration is, I called out the protection. This is what they were supposed to do. We lost a touchdown. We lost 4 points. That scheme was perfect for that defense, and these 3 guys went and blocked 2 and left a free rusher, and the play is blown up. That's an execution thing because scheme worked. Scheme worked. And I'm going to guess Patrick Mahomes had it blocked up protection-wise well enough to when he got up and he looked at the offensive line, it's like, what are we doing? How did that guy come free? Like, Tooney, what are you doing? You're double teaming with Creed on this guy down there. This is a free guy. He's up at the line of scrimmage. That's an execution thing where it's like, oh, they're a tick off. They're here. They're there. It's 3rd and goal. 1, maybe don't get to 3rd and goal. But 2, it was going to be a wide open touchdown to Travis Kelce, and it was going to be a conversation in the booth of how do you let that guy get wide open? But it didn't happen because they didn't execute at the offensive line.
Yeah, and here I am saying that they didn't really get too gadgety. I mean, they did score on a gadget play essentially with the Pacheco direct snap, and could have pitched to Mahomes. I mean, why not? Pitch
it's setting up for another play.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and that's the thing Nick and I talked about. I mean, you can absolutely show that look, and you can run a couple of different variations off that because the next time they run it, that's not the way they're gonna run it. They're gonna show you something else off that.
Which team do you think will score when they do it? I'm nervous.
See,
I've lost some faith in some trick
and
plays.
that's the other thing. I mean, because both that play and the Raiders fiasco with the turnover and everything, I no source on this, just my gut and everything. I'm 95% sure that I bet that those plays originated with McKinnon in the backfield.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
They would make a lot more sense, and a lot of their direct snaps were always McKinnon.
It's crazy because they're 3 for 3 on those plays with touchdowns. Pacheco, when he faked the pitch to Patrick Mahomes the first go around, and kept it and scored a touchdown around the edge. This one, and then the Raiders scoring the touchdown.
Right, okay, I was like, what was the third one?
3 for 3.
Yeah, no,
they're 3 for 3
They
and
always
scores.
result in scores.
They run that play.
Somebody scores.
Somebody is scoring. Luckily for the Chiefs, 2 of the 3 have been for them. So they're plus.
There you go.
They're plus 7.
That's a great ratio.
Plus 7 on that. If you're plus 7 running one play, you are plus 7 points running one play. Why wouldn't you run that every single time? That's the problem.
The
They're getting
last
too
one-
cute going away from the cute.
The last one was my favorite because it just let Pacheco violently swirl and then just take off, and that's fine. Like, if he's just... I trust him to take a snap, make a big swinging motion, and then just take off vertically. That all works. I'm cool with that.
Oh, wait do you see Pacheco do that and then throw a pop pass to Blake Bell?
It'd be a little pop pass.
Little pop.
Yeah, that scares me
little,
too.
Little poppy pass.
Little poppy pass. That's what it is. That's
So-
got to be the play call, right? Poppy pass.
Little poppy pass. I do think there's something to play off of that. And the other thing that I'm waiting to see is the quick snap in the shotgun, looking to the right, Kelsey jabbing forward, coming back for the football, the offensive line coming over to him, and Mahomes pump faking and then hitting it over the top. I'm waiting for that one because have they done that yet? They have thrown it down the line of scrimmage so often. Here's a quick pass to Rashee Rice, quick pass to Travis Kelsey, quick pass down the line of scrimmage, Rashee Rice, quick pass down the line of scrimmage, Travis Kelsey. Have they done the pump fake? Gotcha. Over the top. I'm waiting for that one.
It's coming.
Hopefully it comes this weekend, and hopefully they connect on that, and whoever's running that route catches it. Those are the other parts of it. So, yeah, they got plays on plays on plays, and we'll see what the wrinkle is that Andy Reid will pull out this weekend. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling, hanging out with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll look at the matchup with the Bills. I also want to get his thoughts on who's got more pressure this weekend. Is it Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen as a quarterback playing at home? We'll do that. We'll get his prediction. We'll continue rolling along. More Zone on this Red Friday. Chiefs and Bills, couple days away. More Zone next. All right, we continue to give you updates on injuries with the Buffalo Bills. So already ruled out for this weekend, Gabe Davis, Balin Spector, Christian Bedford, and Taylor Rapp. Christian Benford and Balin Spector started against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are both out. Gabe Davis, people know the impact of not having Gabe Davis. Taylor Rapp is the third safety on their team, played 55% of the snaps against the Chiefs. To give you an idea, when the Bills started getting as limited as they were with injuries in that game against the Steelers, Damar Hamlin came in and played the third safety role. He was inactive against the Chiefs earlier this year, and he was playing the third safety on the field. So what was Mike Edwards when Brian Cook was healthy? What is Shamari Connor?
Dan Sorensen in his prime.
Yes, that's what Damar Hamlin was doing. An update from Bills practice, though, today, because that was this morning that Sean McDermott said that on a radio interview, that those guys are out, is not listing Terrell Bernard as out yet, who I think is their most important defender. Terrell Bernard is not practicing today, though. There's about an hour ago, the Bills had their media version of walkthrough. He's not practicing today. He is walking gingerly on the field, not practicing. Sean McDermott said he'll see how the next couple of days go to decide on Bernard, but they are not ruling him out yet. He's not cutting or doing anything, even just walking straight. There's a sort of a limp and a give on the what would be left ankle, I believe, is the one got injured. Doesn't matter. Also, Stephon Diggs was a full participant on Wednesday. He did not practice yesterday. He will be limited today with a foot injury that popped up in the middle of practice yesterday, which is why he was limited. He was practicing and then stopped practicing because of a foot injury, and he will practice today limited. Sean McDermott saying that he's not concerned as of now for Stephon Diggs' foot. And they're already missing Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Again, that was hurt in practice yesterday. And obviously, you know what? Limited for Stephon Diggs could completely be precautionary. I mean, just like, does Stephon Diggs need to be a full participant in a walkthrough on a Friday? No. He doesn't have to be a full participant in a walkthrough. Just something to keep in mind if he's got an injury that popped up on Thursday in practice and it's a foot. We'll see what happens this weekend. But Rasul Douglas, Teron Johnson, and Tyrell Dodson are all practicing in limited capacity today. Teron Johnson has yet to pass the concussion protocol. As a sort of just a little bit of information in terms of the NFL, this is the second concussion for Teron Johnson this year. The median time to return from your first concussion is 9 days. The median time to return from your second concussion is 14 days. Let me make sure I got that right. I took a screenshot.
It sounds very plausible.
Independent neurologist that tweeted that out, just talking about Teron Johnson. I'll find it. But either way, even if it's 9 days, you're talking about 5 days or 6 days that he would have to play after suffering his second concussion of the year for Teron Johnson. He is practicing, though. He's wearing a red jersey, and he's going through all the drills and practicing and everything. So in limited capacity, but it's not like he's on the sideline not doing anything. He's doing the regular stuff. He just, hasn't passed the full concussion protocol yet.
And that's tricky because, I mean, the Bills do it a little bit differently than the Chiefs do. If he is, and how the practices are, if he's wearing a non-contact jersey, then that would typically, and of course, the practices aren't fully open to the media this time of year, so you can really only, see what's during that portion. Then the portion of practices are non-contact. So remember, in the NFL concussion protocol, you have to go through a full contact workout to get your final clearance. So if he's in a non-contact jersey, it makes me wonder, is he in stage 4 or stage 5 of the concussion protocol? Because that's a distinct difference. And you can still get cleared on a Saturday to play on a Sunday. But if he hasn't technically had his contact practice yet.
Can you get cleared on the day of? Or you have to be cleared the day before?
I believe you can only get cleared the day before.
I thought that was the case, and because, I can't remember. I know that you've got to be activated from the IR the day before you can play, but I guess I just didn't remember if you can be cleared that day.
I mean, I think there may be the whole you may be able to get cleared from the team physician on like the day before, and maybe get your final clearance from the UNC on the day of, and that's probably easier to do on a 5:30 kick than a noon kick.
I can't find my screenshot. I'll get to it eventually. But Josh, you were going to say something. I heard you breathe in.
I was going to ask what this is so. I was going to let this one go, but I was going to ask what you said McDermott said about Diggs again, just because I wanted to cross-reference with another similar-sounding phrase. Just because Sean McDermott was very concerned by Stephon Diggs not being at minicamp, and I was just that whatever you said, McDermott's
not concerned as of now.
Not concerned as of now, as opposed to being very concerned when Diggs wasn't there before the season started. Completely irrelevant in the actual conversation we're having. I just, Sean McDermott has a way with words.
Yeah.
I just want to investigate that whenever we have the opportunity to.
Absolutely.
As long as he doesn't compare, Stephon Diggs' foot to 9/11, we're fine.
I think we're fine.
I think we're okay. Yes. The quarterbacks that are playing home games this weekend, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who's got more pressure on them to win this particular game? Because I think we could make a strong case for either.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even know what my final answer is. I think it's Lamar. That was my first initial instinct.
You're right.
But what do you think?
It is pretty subjective because I'm not sure that I can make a totally objective claim on this myself. I think it's Lamar simply because, the Ravens bowing out before they're supposed to in the playoffs has kind of been their MO, and it has been their MO under Lamar. So I think, being the number one seed, he can't go out early again. Cannot lose in the divisional round again, or that's just going to be the tag is Lamar's great regular season quarterback, but can't win in the postseason. Whereas, if Josh Allen loses to the Chiefs, well, dog bites man. It's what happens every year in the playoffs. So, there is absolutely the pressure on Josh Allen in the sense that, you've got to beat Darth Vader, but nobody's expecting it. So we're not necessarily in Return of the Jedi yet.
Yeah. Okay, so the first concussion is 9 days. The second concussion is 12 days. So there you go. I was going to find it eventually. Just wanted to circle back around so that I had the right numbers. That players who suffer a repeat concussion in the same season miss a median of 12 days compared to single concussions median of 9 days. Teron Johnson has suffered, this is the fourth concussion of his career, and all four concussions he has been cleared within that same week to return, which is another interesting sort of nugget for Teron. Apparently his head heals faster.
Yeah, he
has a fast healing head, apparently. But just something to keep in mind.
Which is a very roundabout way to say that Kyrie Elam is probably going to play a lot in this game.
Yeah.
And
that's a problem.
So what's the problem for Buffalo for sure?
Yeah, for sure. So what are you looking at this weekend? We talk Josh Allen, we talk Lamar Jackson, and I do think there's a lot of pressure on Josh Allen because it's like, okay, if you don't win this one, you've been talking about finally getting a home game, right? You got to go to Kansas City, 13 seconds, you should have done it then. How wide open is the window for the Bills, right? The Josh Allen contract kicks in next year. You've got him at home. This is the worst version of the Chiefs that they've had since Patrick Mahomes got there. If there's a beatable time to take care of Patrick Mahomes and slay the dragon, it's now. Lamar Jackson has a lot of pressure on him from a bigger picture of you're the MVP, you're going to be two-time MVP and never play in a conference championship game. Josh Allen, are you going to lose back-to-back games in the divisional round to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes at home? Be 3 straight years losing in the divisional round? And then you got to the AFC Championship game 4 years ago, but you weren't really competitive in that. You ended up losing by 2 touchdowns in that game late. They led early, but the Chiefs then, avalanched them after that after falling behind, 10-0 or whatever. So what are you looking at this weekend as maybe an indication one way or another of how this game will go?
Scoring first is going to be a big one in this game. Because I think if the Chiefs get an early lead, I don't think this defense gives it up. In the postseason, I think that's just going to be the case. Is that the one thing that you cannot do is fall behind Kansas City. Because if you just give this defense a chance to just pin your ears back and go after your quarterback and just let Mahomes go into game manager mode, I don't think you're catching this team. And to your point about Buffalo, this is in an alternate universe. They are the 2020 Chiefs if 2019 Chiefs don't hit Jet Chips Wasp and make the comeback, because Buffalo shoved all their chips in last year. That was 19 was the year that the Chiefs got Frank Clark. They went out and spent all the money and They made their move because they were like, we're close. They were bringing in guys at the end of the season. That's what Buffalo did last year. Like, bringing in Von Miller. I mean, they went after it last year. Was the year that they shoved all their chips in, and they didn't get it. And so this is year 2 of the window, and it's probably only a 2-year window with this group because, like you said, the Josh Allen contract kicks in. They're going to have to start making changes. It's going to get harder for them going forward, not easier. So this was, in theory, their last easy year with a cheap Josh Allen to get it done. And if they don't, it's just going to be more difficult because they're not going to be able to do it with the same crew year in and year out.
Is it let's play this Trent McDuffie clip. I want to play the Trent McDuffie, him talking about the versatility of the defensive personnel. And he was asked, this is the NFL Report podcast with Steve Weish and James Palmer. So Trent McDuffie was on that. They released it yesterday. I don't know when they interviewed him. But it's been since the Miami game, obviously. So he was asked about, Josh Allen and a guy that, can run and can do these different things. And your personnel, is there an advantage to you guys, your defensive personnel, against a team like the Bills?
I feel like we have a group of players on this team that can really do it all. I mean, you got guys like me, LJ, Shamar Connor, who all play 3 different positions. Jay Reed comes down at dime, at safety. You got Willie Gay playing multiple positions. Like, this defense is very unique in a way that everybody can do a little bit of everything. And when you play a quarterback like this, being able to throw off his timing with his receivers, being able to confuse him pre-snap is huge, because when you just give him one look, a lot of these quarterbacks, they know where the ball wants to go. And a guy like Josh Allen, I mean, if you just sit everybody out wide and play man, I mean, he's ready to take off at any point. So Spags definitely does a great job at giving different disguises, different looks, and making a lot of the same defenses look the same, but do different things out of them. So definitely just the movement-wise on the back end, on the front end, and just making sure he doesn't know just exactly where to go and give him just such an easy play. Each and every down is going to be huge.
It's funny to phrase the question that way. What's the advantage your defense has against a guy like Josh Allen and the Bills? And as he said, versatility, guys that can do a lot of different things. I appreciate him saying himself first. Guys that can do a lot of different things. You got me. You got LJ. You got Shamari. You got all these different guys, Reed and Bolton and all these different guys.
He's a humble, level-headed dude, but he's still a cornerback.
Yeah, exactly. He's still a cornerback.
He's not a diva, but he's a corner. He's a corner.
Still a corner. And he knows how good he is, and he should. But he's not, out there boasting or anything. But he knows how good he is. Come on, the guy's he's an All-Pro. He knows how good he is. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll get Matt's thoughts on what happens in the game. He will predict exactly what's going to take place, and we'll give a score as well. We take a timeout. We come back. More Zone next. right, Matt, what do you think happens, and do you have a score for us for Sunday night?
I think the Chiefs defense shows up to play. I think the Chiefs offense comes out again with the game plan of don't give the game away. Winner of this game will be the team that makes the fewest mistakes. Chiefs have to attack the middle of the field on that Buffalo defense that is so banged up. I think they do it. Chiefs 24, Buffalo 17.
All right, Matt's saying the Chiefs are going to ride that D through Buffalo and hopefully at home against the Houston Texans or in Baltimore, whichever it is. Bring it on. There we go. Matt Derrick, presented by Cap One Lending. Matt, I appreciate it. I am looking forward to you guys breaking down this game at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, you and Nick Jacobs. Thank you, sir.
You gonna talk to me at like 8:30 probably, Matt?
I can't wait.
Me either.
I can.
He has a different view of the world. Maybe because he spent 15 years looking at it upside down. He knows exactly how many times the ball will rotate on a long snap, and he'll juggle anything you throw at him. It's Kendall Gammon in the Zone. Brought to you by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
That's right, hanging out with Kendall Gammon on this Friday, Chiefs Red Friday, getting ready for the Buffalo Bills coming up on Sunday late afternoon, 5:30 kick on CBS. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and news out of Buffalo with their injury situation already ruled out for the game on Sunday is Gabe Davis, Balin Spector, Christian Benford, and Taylor Rapp. That is Spector and Benford both started against the Steelers. They were also filling in for guys who were already injured. So the backups to the backups will not be playing this weekend. And clearly people know about Gabe Davis and the impact he has for the Buffalo Bills. Terrell Bernard, so there were 5 players that did not practice either Wednesday or Thursday for the Bills. 4 of the 5 have been ruled out. The only other one, Terrell Bernard, who is not practicing today as well, I continue to call him their most important defender, their green dot, their guy that does a lot of different things for them on the defense. He left the game early with the ankle injury, air cast, carted off. Not been ruled out. X-rays were negative. He's not practicing today during the walkthrough. There's video of him. He's walking gingerly on the ankle. But Sean McDermott says they'll see how the next couple of days go before they decide on whether or not he will play. But I would not expect him to play this weekend, especially linebacker. You got to stop and cut and go back and forth. You got to cover Kelsey. You got to then spring up and try to tackle Isaiah Pacheco or whatever on an ankle that's ginger in a walkthrough.
Right.
I think that's wishful thinking, is sort of just holding out hope that maybe he can go. Tyrell Dodson, Rasul Douglas, and Teron Johnson are limited in practice. They've been limited all week. Tyrell Dodson is the number 4 coverage linebacker in the NFL, according to PFF, that L'Jarius Sneed hates. But according to PFF, Tyrell Dodson, the number 4 coverage linebacker in the NFL, he did not play against the Steelers. He is limited with a shoulder. He'll be a game-time decision. Rasul Douglas, the knee, missed last game. He said he's going to play. Sean McDermott said he's questionable game-time decision. And then Teron Johnson has yet to clear the concussion protocol. And we talk about Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie was the first-team All-Pro slot corner. The first year they've used a specific slot corner position in All-Pro. Trent McDuffie was first-team All-Pro. Teron Johnson was second-team All-Pro for the Bills. He has yet to clear concussion protocol. And so we'll see what ends up happening with that. So that's the update out of Buffalo with all of the injuries they have going on, and some swing. I think what could be swing of points and predictions if Tyrell Dodson, Terrell Bernard, and Teron Johnson don't play. I think Rasul Douglas is going to play. He's already said, I'm going to play. I think he's playing. Teron Johnson doesn't have a choice. He's got to pass the concussion protocol.
Right.
He doesn't get the choice whether to play. The independent neurologist has the choice of whether or not he plays. It would be massive if all those guys miss. I feel good about the Chiefs already, but, I mean, sometimes, Kendall, you've been there. Next man up, you just run out of next man.
Right, but this is the next man in some instances.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
Boy, I'm clever, aren't I? But it's the case. It's just somewhat like what you saw with the Dolphins last week, which, that's been my question all week is, is the offense of Kansas City back to where it needs to be, or was it predicated on the fact of who was playing for the Dolphins, and probably a little bit of a both. But you've got you've got the perfect storm coming up again with the Bills in terms of what you said of this defense and having some issues.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins, their defensive line was ravaged by injury. The Buffalo Bills' defensive line is healthy.
Right,
so,
true.
It's the exact opposite, though. But their linebackers and secondary
players,
are right. Absolutely, no.
Integral.
I'm with you. Just the overall in general, like the Dolphins had so many injuries at different spots, and the Bills have injuries at different spots. They just happen to be sort of flip-flopped in that regard. And if the Chiefs' offensive line, Kendall, can keep the Buffalo Bills front four at bay, I'm not sure how the Bills stop the Chiefs' offense, even with the struggles they've had this year.
Yeah, and I would think that Big Red is scheming on those type of facts and what's going on. You know, they've got intel of what's going on that's better than us in some fashion. Well, maybe better than you. I mean, Josh, I know you're on it.
Absolutely.
But either way, the fact is, you know, this is stuff that you deal with, and it's just hard to think that Big Red wouldn't be altering the plan a little bit because of, you know, that second level and where they may be struggling a little bit.
You've covered this team for a long time. You were sideline reporter and everything. You've been at practices. How much do you see Andy Reid playing offensive scheme if he faces a team twice in the same year, and especially in the playoffs? How much does he use plays that he used early in the season to play off of those? What I mean is the offensive scheme and the play calls against Buffalo and what they did on certain things that then he'll run wrinkles off of those this go around against Buffalo in the playoffs that we joke about, you know, call the good plays. You
right,
know,
exactly
now
right.
open up the bag and get into the fun plays. In your experience being around, is some of that overblown, or is there this play was based off of this play?
Yeah.
He ran in the third quarter in this down and distance, and then they ran it there, and the Bills were expecting this because of their film study, and then boom, that's why this was open.
No, I do think he sets things up, you know, weeks and weeks in advance, and has the ability to look forward and what's going on. I always say that, you know, he's playing 3D chess while others are just playing checkers at times. The dude is a savant in what's going on. And I've heard there's 12, 14 different plays off of, you know, one or two looks, and then the fact of you know, he has a counter to everything. Now, can the players assimilate it quick enough on the run to make those counters work? I think what we saw this year was they weren't really ready to do that, and that's why they had to simplify things a little bit. But in general, no, I think it is absolutely true that he's well above, and he's always scheming.
As an offensive lineman, do you like when it feels like the game, going into the Miami game, when it feels like the game was this is going to be on the offensive line, protecting Mahomes? There's going to be blitzes. They're going to try to get there in different ways, but also you should be able to run the football. So offensive line, go and reset the line of scrimmage. Do you like some of those games where it's leading into? Because I think the offensive line is going to be crucial in this one, because if you can get to this second level on this defense, if you can,
Right.
open up holes to get past that initial,
Yep.
front four for the Bills, you're going to have some backups there in the game. That it's another game where, man, if the offensive line does their job, this offense can be humming.
And I think the offensive line loves that. A lot of people don't know, back in the day with the Steelers and even the Saints a little bit, I was a backup offensive lineman, and as an offensive lineman, you love run blocking because it's more aggressive, whereas pass blocking is just is more passive, and so you like that. You can get more weight on the fingers and go forward and go after it and feel like you're making a difference, and I think that's what offensive linemen love, and I think this is, at least the interior three is a group that really takes some pride in that. Not that the edges don't, but they've had their issues this year, quite honestly. But that being said, there are issues in the pass blocking. I think when it comes to the run blocking, that's generally where you're gonna play better, and that would certainly be in their favor.
What are you seeing in the red zone, if anything, from this team? Anything particular that you're seeing in the red zone as to why the struggles have been there? They 2 of 6 against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I just think we all know everything constricts there, and now all of a sudden your wide receiver group that's not been great in general can't really help you that much. And since everything constricts, I think your running backs, or more importantly your tight end, just doesn't have as much room to work. And that's the only thing I can come up with, because for whatever reason, I mean, it's been rough. I mean, the fact that Butker's 10 for 10 in the last 2 games, that's phenomenal, and it probably will continue in terms of him being accurate, but that's not what you want to hang your hat on. And you could get by with it potentially in this game, but to get to where they want to get, you've eventually got to convert for 7. It's
an odd situation to be in. It's an odd sort of world to live in, where you come away from a drive and go, oh, they got 3. They got 3. They didn't get 0. They didn't turn the ball over. They didn't have debilitating penalties that may have cost them points, or at least cost them all the points.
Right.
Sometimes it's cost them 4 points on a drive. But I mean, if you've got 10 drives in the game and they get 3 points every single time,
right,
I think the Chiefs are winning that game. And one of the things that I find to be encouraging, while there's the element of the red zone issues, you'd like to have them cured for the next 3 weeks, next 3 games, if you could do that. But the issues early in the season was that they weren't getting down there nearly enough to take advantage. I mean, they were 2 of 3 against the Bills in the red zone the first go-around, and they scored 17 points.
Right.
I mean, they were 2 of 6, 2 of 6 against Miami, and they scored 26 points. So it's you may not be great in the red zone, but you got to get there first, and that's the change we've seen in this offense. Is that they're driving the football, they're picking up a number of yards, their yards per play increase, they're picking up chunk yards, they're not succeeding in the red zone. If they can fix that, well, then the offense will look like it did a year ago. If they don't fix that, the defense has been so damn good that getting 3 points is not the worst thing, because finding a way to get points on every drive gives you a win.
Well, and you mentioned something that I think is huge, and there was more in this game. I forget how many plus 20 chunks there were, but more than they've had in the past. I think the most they've had all year. But when you're doing that, that makes a huge difference. I think the other thing, too, is the fact that they are able to get 3 when they're not getting into the red zone. I mean, when you've got that type of distance in Harrison Butker, so that's made a difference as well. I mean, because several of those have not been chip shots, and I mean, the few that he made in that cold weather game, this last game, I was amazed. It's like, here we go, because you can't kick it from as far out, and you can't elevate the ball as much as you'd like either.
Yeah, as evidenced by Dave Tobe yesterday, saying that in the direction where they went for it on 4th down, 4th and 5, and Mahomes picked up the first down, going in that direction, the target line for the field goal was the 30-yard line for Harrison Butker.
Wow.
I mean, the 30-yard, they were at the 38 when they went for it on 4th and 5. So
at the 30, so that's a 48-yard field goal. That's still pretty far. But generally they're thinking about it all the way back to 55, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and he's like, no, if we don't get to the 30-yard line, then we've got to go for it on 4th down and 5, which I'm perfectly fine with. They ended up with a field goal on that drive anyway, but that just showed, what the weather conditions were.
Right.
And they were short field goals perfectly fine because he's been good. And in that game, perfectly fine because the defense was really, really good. And that mindset, I do wonder how much that's changed for this team of just over through the course of the season, of that we're a defensive team, and field goals and touchdowns from time to time will win because that defense is really good. And the Chiefs scored 17 points against the Bills, and they lost by 3 because that defense through the course of that game against Buffalo gave up only 20.
Well, and I think Patrick Mahomes basically said it when he talked a few weeks ago about, punts not being bad. And I think he's been a little bit more cautious on not throwing into crowds because he understands what this team is right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's kind of the antithesis of what they've been the whole career, which is great offenses and defense not so good. I mean, when you change it around, defense being great, I would say the offense this year and what it's struggled with, but how it's done is better than how the defenses have been in the past. If you change the two, if you get what I'm saying, and so they are what they are. And the sample size is there. They're not going to change that much. Although I think it's worth discussing the fact that they went to Rashee Rice 12 times. I mean, he didn't all of a sudden get through his reads and just happened to get Rashee Rice in his sights 12 times. It was premeditated and figured out. And kudos to Big Red for figuring it out.
I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
Just that this offense. I mean, we've talked about all year, can they find somebody besides Kelsey?
Right.
And now, I mean, the offenses are different. I know that, and I'm not trying to compare the two. But when the Chiefs were at their best, they had Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, and Damian Williams. Because Damian Williams was damn good, as evidenced in all of the records in the playoffs, that his name comes up in the top 3 of almost everything, with rushing and receiving touchdowns and scoring touchdowns and all of that stuff. He was really good in the 18, 19, 20, or 18 and 19 playoffs. That was just 2 years, right? Because 20 he didn't play. He opted out in the COVID year.
I think that's right, yeah.
So just 18 and 19. So 2 years of playoffs, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that he played. And that's when they were humming and they were awesome. But you could say it was like, okay, Mahomes is there, and then it's Kelsey, Hill, and Damian Williams. This is Mahomes is there, Kelsey, Rice, and Pacheco. Those last 2 are different. Make the case Pacheco better than Damian Williams. Rice not as good as Tyreek Hill, but they've got a triumvirate that you would think would be good enough with Mahomes and an offensive line that is not the offensive line they put out there against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
So in theory, this offense should be better. They've just turned it over, penalties, negative plays and things like that. Finding Rashee Rice has added the element of, okay, now you got three guys that you can look at. The formula for this offense is Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, Pacheco. Rely on those guys, and that's what's going to get you to 25, 26 points.
The difference I see, Jason, is the long speed. Is Damian Williams had it? I don't think Pacheco has it. I think that obviously Tyreek had it, and he had all the long speed plus a lot of other people's long speed as well. That's how fast he was. Whereas Rasheed, great receiver, doing some great things. He plucked some balls out, which I was really amazed. But he doesn't have the long speed where if he gets open, he's gone. You're not catching him. Granted, maybe a D-back had an angle on him, but I just that's not a knock on him. I just think it is what it is. But I think that's the big difference there, and I think that's the big difference in the NFL is when you have a chance to break away. You get a TD as opposed to getting pulled down at the 5, 10, or 15 and give the defense a chance to hold you to 3 instead of 7.
Yeah, the play against the Bengals when they ad-libbed and they went over the top when it was supposed to be a little hitch route. And the point I made was, I hate that he got caught, but if Rashee Rice would not have got caught, he wouldn't have been there in the second round.
True.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Well said. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I'm a long snapper. I had to I had to meditate on that one a second, but I got it now.
When Kendall Gammon's our guest, when you look at backups in the game, let's say backups for the Buffalo Bills, how many different linebackers or backup linebackers, cornerbacks, things like that. I've wondered if one of the bigger things, and because we're talking about Rashee Rice, I want to draw it into this. Yards after catch for Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce is pretty good yards after catch as well. Pacheco's tough to bring down. Is tackling one of the things that has a big drop-off from linebackers to backups to, safeties to backups, and their safeties are going to be there. But cornerbacks sort of, coverage and athleticism overall. But when you get down the depth chart, what do you see in your time being around NFL teams? What do you see as the bigger drop-off that happens? Is it just general athleticism? Is it ability to tackle in space that can separate one good player from another? What do you see if we're talking about the third and fourth string linebackers and slot players for the Buffalo Bills?
I think the two that you brought up are correct, and I think the other thing is they just haven't played. I mean, they don't have that time in, so they're not used to the speed of the game, and I think that's the biggest part. Also, this time of year, you're not going in pads, so you're not getting a chance to tackle. So I think tackling in general it can always be a little bit worse towards the end of the year. Generally, though, if you've been playing and you're a starter, you've got that going. Whereas if you're a backup, you haven't been tackling in practice, and you haven't been in a game tackling for the most part either. You've been playing special teams, but there's only so much you're going to get there in terms of tackling. So I think that's what comes into play.
Yeah, that's and maybe that's why that's a great point, because if you're playing every week, you're getting your tackles in real time, but you're not tackling in practice. So it's a really good point. The only way you can get better at tackling is by tackling.
Yeah, and you know what? We talked about it earlier, but as I think about it more, it's just I've got to believe that Big Red is looking at who's going to be in that second, in that the middle layer, the second layer. And he will just have some things dialed up to take advantage of it. I think he finds the weak link, and then he takes advantage of it. And that's the one adage that I heard my whole career in the NFL is you find the weak link, and then you keep going at it until they prove they can stop it. And I think that's what you'll see on Sunday.
Kendall Gammon's our guest. Do centers and long snappers hate each other?
We do. We can't stand each other. What do you mean a regular center?
Yeah, just a regular old center that can snap the ball like 3 feet in the shotgun, whatever, or right up to the
weaker snapper.
The weaker snapper. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I never thought about it one way or the other. Mr. Grunhard and I got along the 1 year that we were together, and
that's not what he said.
No, well, and that doesn't surprise me.
We've never seen you guys in the halls here at the same time.
No, nor will you.
I mean,
all right.
I'm saying,
just saying.
He comes in on Fridays, and
I smell smoke.
He demanded a
fire?
3-hour difference.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't even be on the same show as you.
I can't blame him. I'm given the chance, I wouldn't be around myself either. So that's where we're at. I'm a tremendous slouch. So, I don't know. I think the centers are glad that we're there because they don't want a long snap.
Yeah, but
that's
you guys,
good. It's like one of those fish that eat the barnacles and stuff off a whale. It's like, oh no, that's not bothering me. I don't want that anyway.
But
okay.
Yeah. Right? I'm giving you credit. I think it's a symbiotic relationship.
No, I had to look at it.
Grunny's the whale in this instance, clearly. I guess.
Clearly. But you guys are so protected, though. They can't hit you. They can't line up over you.
Where
the centers, like Jason Kelsey says FML before he runs the tush push, because it's slamming into his head and he's slamming forward.
Yeah.
You guys, you can't even touch you.
No, you can't. No, I did not like that rule when it came in. That was in my last 2 years. And I felt like even at just 250 pounds as opposed to 310 that I weighed at one point in time, that I could hold my own in the middle, and I helped differentiate myself by that. So when they took that rule out, I understood why. But I didn't like it because I thought it favored me.
But it makes the centers resentful of the long snappers.
It does,
right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Because Creed's got to worry about snapping and then somebody right in front of him.
And you have no idea how many restraining orders I've had on people over the years.
Roughly 15-yard restraining orders.
Right in there, absolutely.
Kendall Cameron is our guest. I heard Lane Johnson say this on Monday night, I guess. That's when the Bucs and Eagles played, was Monday night. And I wanted to play it for you because Josh and I talked about earlier in the show that, it feels like the rock bottom this year, to me, I can make a case, was the Buffalo Bills game because of the antics on the sideline after the Chiefs got stopped on fourth down after the offsides, and Mahomes was losing it and going after the official and all of that. And that was sort of the culmination of the frustration because it was a game they really wanted to win. They really wanted to win. The Raiders might have been rock bottom to some, but I don't think they showed up. I just think they no-showed that particular game. They looked at the opponent, whatever, Christmas, and they thought they were going to roll their helmets out there, and they got out-physical. They got punched in the mouth and couldn't really respond. So I think rock bottom was the Buffalo Bills, and the body language was terrible. Here's Lane Johnson. This is after the game on Monday, after the loss. Lane Johnson talking about his teammates and what was going on the field, and just over the course of this last half of the season, what's been happening.
There's definitely times, even when you look out the course of the season, what I tell my guys, the O-line, no matter what the scoreboard is, you play, no slopping, no clapping your hands, no sulking after bad plays. You go up to the line of scrimmage like nothing happened, like a robot. And, I think something that's needs to be addressed, I think as far as concerning next season. You don't want to give your opponents anything. They see on film, sulking, bad body, all this stuff. You can't give your opponents anything. And so,
on that note, like during the Super Bowl season, a lot of players cited how together the team was, how everyone was really played for each other. You kind of feel the same way about this team.
Yeah, the effort wasn't a problem. We all have great relationships. It's just, we have a slide going, and you can't stop it. Losing whatever we did, probably the first team to end like this, after starting the season the way you did and ending the way you did, it's frustrating. So, like I said, we've offered plenty of explanations, but at the end of the day, we never did get the result we wanted to. So, got to change. It is what it is.
So people picked up on the stuff's got to change and all of that stuff, and he said, the effort was fine. What I wanted to get your thoughts on was the body language aspect that he talked about, and sulking and mad and clapping your hands and doing all of that stuff. That even that party's like, you're giving the other team ammunition right there. You're sort of defeating yourself. That whether that was the Eagles or not, I just think back to that Bills game. And at times when Mahomes was frustrated with his receivers. And it got to the point where he was done sticking up for his receivers. It got to the point to where now he's going after the official. He throws the ball to MVS in the Bills game, and MVS slides and can't catch it, and they're on the wrong page, and Mahomes looks over to the sideline, and the camera catches him going, what are we doing? And there's frustration that's mounting there. How much can you get over that as you move into the postseason? Can you sort of put that behind you and say this is a fresh start, it's a new year, and whatever was going on then? Because I feel like it all culminated in that Bills game, in that final, what was the offsides, and then Mahomes on the sideline and having to be restrained. That was the overall frustrations of the season. And that body language is pretty tough to overcome because Mahomes even had to apologize of how he acted and things like that.
Yeah, I think that was the frustration. That was the boiling point like you talked about. It's the cap out the toothpaste. The one little thing that goes wrong, you just explode, and it's not because of that one little thing. It's because everything that led up to that. And you know what? I've always thought body language was a huge deal in whatever sports. I remember with my kids, that's something I preached at them from day one is you hold yourself a certain way out there because your opponent sees it and they know what's going on. You're exactly right. And when you have that going on, your own team recognizes it and your opponent recognizes it as well. As far as getting past it, not a big deal in the NFL in my experiences. You just go on with things. You talk throughout the week, and this is just how you deal with it. And you understand that, sometimes things don't go well, but you got to come back and play. I mean, this is what you get paid to do. This is what you love to do. And, you've got to look at yourself in a real sense and be honest with yourself about what's going on and see, could I have done it better? What am I doing? How am I doing it? And again, it goes back to what you said beforehand, was the frustration just boiling over.
All right, what do you think happens? Chiefs and Bills on Sunday.
You're not going to like me.
I always like you.
No.
I can't imagine what you could say that would make me not like you anymore.
Yeah, exactly right. I heard you guys talking earlier. I heard you talking. It could go either way. I think it's probably going to be whoever has the ball last. I forget what is the line around 2 now, 2.5, somewhere in there.
Yeah. It's hovered between 3.5, 2.5.
I've been saying I think for Buffalo, this is the game of their lives, and I think they're thinking, if not now, when. I think they're looking back at the past and those other games that they feel like they let go. I spoke to some stringers in Buffalo here recently, and that's just what they truly believe, and I think they're set up well. It could go either way, obviously, but I've been saying Buffalo 24-23. That being said, when you say that, then obviously it could go either way.
Yep, Buffalo 24-23.
I don't ever want to see you in this building ever again, Kendall.
Speaking of restraining orders, I'm going to have to restrain a lot of Chiefs Kingdom, I know.
You're going to have to. The issue is that you have such range accuracy that I think if you just start picking people off just one long snap at a time, I don't feel like we can charge your house or anything. You don't need a moat. You got a weapon.
Grunhard just texted, said, "I'm on my way."
He says,
that's weird.
I hate long snappers.
It's odd.
I don't want to be here when this episode of Pacific Rim starts in the hallway.
Oh man.
Kendall, you're the man, as always.
Appreciate you.
And I hope next Friday we are talking about you being right, but wrong.
Right.
Wrong.
Right?
I know.
Wrong.
Left. We want to be left, right.
Right turn, Clyde.
Center.
I feel
left
like
side?
you should go ahead to your prediction there and maybe take a Yui. Go ahead and just spin that thing around. Go ahead and change it, Kendall. Change it, Kendall!
Kendall, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. We will talk next Friday.
Yep.
All right, there's Kendall Gammon joining us here in the zone, getting ready for the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Turncoat, Kendall Gammon.
A huge game. Yeah, Benedict
Gammon.
Kendall Arnold joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. More so next.
Traitor.
Toyota Crown Volkswagen joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, a little Red Friday activity. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, joining us here in the zone on this Friday edition. Mick, what's up, man?
Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to be here.
Yes, good to have you here.
Kendall got the seat warm, literally, for me.
Yeah.
That seat hasn't been cold since Matt got here at 11. So that seat is like, that is ready for you to be
I've got
sitting
my
in.
North Face ski pants on, so I'm going to keep it warm as well.
Nice and
warm it up.
toasty.
Ready to go skiing?
For this weather. It's too cold to ski in this weather.
Man, it's
It's 6 out. I got used to. I'm like, oh, this is great. 25 for a couple days in a row.
Yeah, I was walking around in shorts.
Cold weather enthusiast Mick Schaefer.
It's just don't get me started.
Single digits is too cold.
We're
all there on that,
but that's
right?
a first cousin to your favorite kind of weather, okay?
Yeah, but listen,
it's related. It is
They're
related.
They're
It's
related.
related.
It's more of a second
You
cousin
see him
by
at
marriage.
birthday parties, reunion, a lot of weddings.
It's a second cousin
You
by
get
marriage.
drunk with that cousin at weddings.
Yeah,
and you guys
yeah.
find common ground. You have a good time.
That's right. And I'm trying to extend that olive branch to you also.
No,
where
I've disavowed that entire side of the family.
No,
okay?
that's the cousin that walks in and starts to talk politics at the dinner table. You're like, all right, no, dude, you got to go.
For me, that's
You gotta
the
go,
100-degree cousin. That cousin that walks in like, no, simmer down.
Sorry, guy. Nope, literally, simmer down. Calm. Hey, you're a little too heated right now. All right, let's bring it down. You're at a 9, D. Let's bring it back down to like a 65 or 70, 75.
No, that's the cousin that served a lot of time. Served time.
Is that right?
Yes. For some bad stuff.
You did a stretch?
Did a long stretch. A couple long stretches.
A few prison tattoos there on the neck?
Yeah.
Just to let you know that
it's a cousin that
he's
also
not messing
married
around.
another cousin. It's just, you don't want to. Bad news.
Now, this is when you're at a wedding in Arkansas.
Yeah. There's a lot of states where that happens. What was the state? What was the state? Kentucky, I think. Was it Kentucky?
I don't know.
One of the states, a lawmaker just tried to pass a bill to allow first cousin marriage.
I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Quick Google search. You better hope it's not Kentucky.
You better.
Your old home.
Man,
your
like
vacation spot.
My
Old
hands
Kentucky
are
home.
on my
Old Kentucky.
keyboard, but my fingers won't type it. I don't know why.
Why?
There's no like.
It just makes me sad.
There's no IT department.
No,
You're
God,
not-
no, that's not my concern.
You're not above
You
that.
don't
No,
have firewall?
It's
Yeah.
just jarring. Guys, what do you think I haven't seen? I've been on Twitter in this company's Wi-Fi. I
But
know
they-
it's bad.
I saw this on Fallon, and he dropped it eventually. I guess he got a lot of flack. I don't know why.
What?
Reality TV star turned politician pushes for legal first cousin marriage in Kentucky. Before claiming error.
Who was that? Before Error.
It was somebody from Survivor?
I only know one person from Survivor, and I don't.
So
think
do I.
that-
That's
and I
it.
think they live in Colorado.
Oh, I know one, and she lives in my neighborhood.
Danny Boatwright's in your neighborhood?
Pretty close, yeah.
I thought they lived in Colorado for some reason. That's why I said I think they live in.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
No.
I mean, if
Unless
they live.
they just recently.
No, I thought they. That's my bad. My bad,
Probably
Casey.
both of our beds are like out and where they would live.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mine was better because people would not have been
I saw
stalking
Casey
them
recently.
if they had been, in Colorado. I'm going to say they live in Colorado, so
Okay.
people don't go to
Right.
by Mick's house as the epicenter and then just drive
We'll
around
say any
neighborhoods.
state aside from Kentucky for this conversation.
This
There's
was
49 other states.
Which one of the 2,000 seasons of Survivor was this person from?
37th. Spoiler alert, he won the 37th Caesar.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known him
season.
if he didn't.
And there's multiple seasons per year, right?
That's true. Yes, absolutely. Because it hasn't been on for 40 years or whatever, but there are like 40
Was this
seasons.
Survivor Appalachian Mountains?
Was this Survivor reunion?
Rep Nick Wilson went viral Tuesday after sponsoring House Bill 269, which removed first cousins from the list of relatives.
You say Redneck Wilson?
I think it's Representative Nick Wilson.
Oh, Rep Nick.
Rep Nick, Redneck.
I thought you said Redneck Wilson.
And then, so basically his first
If
cousin.
you want to pass a law
Want to
that
remove
allows you
first
to marry your
cousins.
cousin,
She dumped him, so that's why he dropped the proposal.
I'm going to keep reading, but
what?
He's now moved on
city,
to
county,
his stepsister.
General area that the fella's from?
I don't know. I just have
Paducah?
got
Pikeville?
I'm still looking here. I don't know what his exact it's Republican Kentucky Representative Nick Wilson. That's all I got right now. I don't know what his level of I mean, he's a rep? I don't know. I'm working on it, guys. I don't know. I'm just learning about this story. I've told you it was House Bill 269. You want more details?
Actually, that's legitimately what we're asking.
During today's session, I withdraw House Bill 269 and refile a bill with the, quote, first cousin language intact.
Okay.
So he claims it was a mistake. I understand that I made a mistake, but I sincerely hope my mistake doesn't hurt the chances of the corrected version of the bill.
How do you kind of just accidentally try to slip that one past the goalie?
He won the 2018 show and then returned for the 40th season of Survivor, which featured winners from previous shows.
We know he would do anything to survive.
In November 2022,
Maybe anyone.
He ran unopposed for the 82nd District of the Kentucky House.
Oh, okay.
So,
what area? Do we know what area? Did you say?
I have no idea.
82nd District. I'm on it. Jason, you tell me if this is if you try to get this guy elected or not.
I'm guessing it's not like big city Kentucky, like Louisville or Lexington.
Guess not. I'm gonna go ahead and say probably not, because if he's already been elected,
it sounds like he's in
unopposed-
the stereotype county, Kentucky.
Yeah, if he's elected unopposed, then I don't think he's in Louisville.
After the
Lexington.
2020
If he's
census,
talking about first cousins, I'm thinking maybe more.
Yeah,
country.
I'm just reading this. Okay, so he's a Republican. I don't think he'd be in running unopposed in Louisville or Lexington. Yeah. Okay, so we got to
district
the bottom of
map
that.
includes Williamsburg, and then a bunch of other bunch of roads, and then not a lot of other. Emlyn or Pleasant View, Jason.
Oh yeah, that's southeast. That's southeast Kentucky. You're getting to the mountains. You're getting that might as well be Tennessee.
Well, I mean, I
can zoom out.
It's cabin fever out there. Slim pickings.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you're in the mountains.
It is just a slight northern neighbor of Knoxville. That is absolutely.
Yeah.
We are south.
Yeah, you're
It's
might
closer.
as well be in Tennessee.
It's closer to Knoxville than it is to Richmond. It looks like, and then obviously closer to Richmond than it is to Lexington.
Yeah.
Cold weather got us started on this, by the way.
Yep. You got us started on this.
Well, it's the first cousin.
Mark off the format of Talk About State Rep Nick Wilson. That is now marked off. So we got to that one. Thank God. Our 5 o'clock show meeting this morning that we got together and said, how can we incorporate this? Kids.
I've got on my notes on my phone. I'm going to delete Talk About Incest. That is done.
Also done. Very good. Well done.
Bestiality. And what's your favorite seafood?
What is yours?
Burgers.
Okay. Good
Pizza in the ocean.
Oh. Favorite seafood is pizza on a boat. Pizza while at sea.
While at sea.
He went to University of Kentucky, but then he went to grad school at Alabama.
That's
all right.
That's what turned him.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Over the edge.
That makes a lot of sense because when I moved there, what I had found out is that the basketball sort of phrase and the chant was "Go Big Blue." The football chant was "Roll Tide."
Yeah,
for UK football, it was "Roll Tide."
What do you think? Maybe a third cousin?
All right, so it'll be a Fast Friday with Andy Reid coming up at 1 o'clock, maybe a little bit before that. And then
It's really fast.
we think Travis Kelce at the podium today. So it'll be back-to-back Fridays with TK.
What do we owe the honor?
Another playoff game.
Yeah.
We can ask him if his brother's retiring.
Ask him that.
By the way, did you see I tweeted this out earlier today. Change.org.
No, I'll get you blocked. I haven't seen
Sorry.
it.
Sorry about that. Whatever I did in the past, I apologize. Can you unblock me? I'll send you an email. Actually, I'll talk to a buddy and see if they
I have a long memory.
Yeah, well,
It's a bad one, but
good for you.
so I might have made up the thing you did to me.
Did you see that Change.org has taken all of their petitions that people in Philadelphia have started for Jason Kelce, and they have now made just one landing page for the Jason Kelce petitions in Philadelphia.
To not retire or what?
Commission a bronze statue of Jason Kelce at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Replace Columbus statue in Marconi Plaza with Jason Kelce. Establish Jason Kelce Day in Philadelphia on June 2nd, 6/2.
Nice.
Erect a statue of Jason Kelce, the heart and soul of the Philadelphia Eagles. Make June 2nd Jason Kelce Day in Philadelphia. I feel like you should merge those two things. Urge Jason Kelce to play one more year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Retire Jason Kelce 62 for the Eagles. Those are the petitions at change.org.
Is that where the Rocky statue is? Would it be near there?
Yeah.
Wow. And what would he be? What would he be doing? The tush push? Would he be over this?
No,
over
he'd
the
be
ball or what?
he'd be in the what was the costume?
The
that
giant genie costume
the
or whatever.
Mumford or whatever that would be the costume he's wearing while screaming an expletive out of his mouth at the podium. That's the statue for Jason Kelce.
It should have a button on it you can push that just says the F word.
It should be him licking the index finger and his thumb right before he goes to snap the football, like they always show a close-up of. But yeah, there's so many petitions in Philadelphia about Jason Kelce that Change.org had to create a landing page for all of them instead of individually going like, we got you. We'll just go and put them all here.
Revered there.
They like him. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll get into some predictions coming up later on this hour and the cuts as well. Right now, heading to the podium is head coach Andy Reid right here on Sports Radio 810.
As far as the injuries go, the guys that didn't practice today were Sky Moore with that knee strain. He tweaked it a little bit yesterday, and so we backed off him. He'll be listed as out also. Wanye Morris still in the concussion protocol. He'll be listed as out. Derek Noddy with the tricep, he'll be listed as out. So everybody else practiced and did a good job there. So we look forward to the challenge of playing the Bills. As I mentioned, well coached, good football. With that, time's yours.
Just been so long since you guys have played a road playoff game. Anything different that you do? I know you're pretty steady on how you get yourself ready. Anything you have to do differently for the road?
No, we do the same things. Keep it consistent for the guys, and coaches for that matter. Yeah.
With Noddy being out, are you expecting Mike Pennell to step up in his place?
Yeah, he'll be working in there. Yeah.
You guys had some rough weather again this week. Is all your travel look on schedule at this point?
I think so. Got the buses warmed up just in case.
They had another round of snow again this week, and we'll see how much of it gets cleared out of the stadium. But last week there were some issues with snowballs getting thrown onto the field. Is that something you discussed with either the Bills or the officials before the game about what happens in a situation like that?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm sure Shafe does. Probably talks to their people up there, but I don't. I mean, we just do what we do, and keep your helmet on.
Anything else? You guys good? All right. Thank you.
All right, good.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, there's a Fast Friday Andy Reid at the podium. We'll hear from Travis Kelce when he gets to the podium, and we think we'll hear from Travis Kelce when he gets to the podium. Not necessarily scheduled, but we think he may be at the podium. So we'll see. Maybe not though. Maybe no Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm told that maybe not. So
I don't know what the big deal is. Chiefs haven't played a road playoff game in 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from 71 to 86 without playing a road playoff game. That's 15 years as well.
That's a great point. That is a really good point. They went from 93.
Maybe they didn't play any games in that time.
93 to 07?
06.
06,
yeah.
93 to 06 without playing a road playoff game? Yeah. They only had 3 in the middle there, but you're right. They did not go on the road all of those different times. This one they mixed in 14 home playoff games though.
Get this. Actually, no, it was 94. It's the 94 season. Guess the date of their wild card. Their wild card game was still in 94. It was December 31st. They were playing playoffs.
Oh, that's right. They
that
did
early.
lose. They
New
did,
Year's Eve.
They did lose that game, that Joe Montana's last game
at Miami.
In Miami, yes, Dan Marino. They lost Joe Montana's last game. There.
What was the date on that?
So 94
December
to 06.
31st, 1994. The 94 season, the playoffs actually started in 94.
That's weird.
What a concept.
I was 8 days old.
8. Also, Mark Andrews will not play this weekend. John Harbaugh has ruled him out for the game against the Houston Texans. This was his practice window was open, I guess, or did they open the practice window last week?
They opened it just earlier this week, I believe.
Earlier this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so they opened his practice window.
Watch, pretty cold out. Open windows.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't do that. That doesn't seem smart. So Mark Andrews, the practice window is open, but he will not play this weekend. We'll see what the game time decisions are going to be for the Buffalo Bills, because out is Gabe Davis, out is Balin Spector, out is Christian Benford, and out is Taylor Rapp. Game time decision for Terrell Bernard, Tyrell Dodson, Russell Douglas, and Teron Johnson.
I mean, Gabe Davis has to be just beside himself not getting to play against the Chiefs. That's the biggest one for Kansas City. This guy has career games against KC.
He had his career against the Chiefs in the playoffs in the division round.
4 TDs.
Four times.
How many total touchdowns does he have in his career? I'm guessing that's a large chunk.
Yeah, I'd say he's got probably like
definitely. I bet it's more than half the ones he has in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
I bet he didn't have 8 total in the playoffs.
Definitely say that. If I'm guessing right now, I'm going to guess 20 touchdowns. Okay, well here's Travis Kelce.
Ready to get after it, man. Ready to get after it. Buffalo, cold, playoff game. Not getting any better, baby.
You guys have been a pretty good road team over the years. Something you can put your finger on why you guys have been so efficient?
I think from the top down, Coach Reid does a great job of challenging everybody in the building. You know, it's not easy to go anywhere and get a win in the NFL, let alone in the playoffs. And with that being said, you know, it's a challenge that has to be met during the week, and Coach Reid does a great job of kind of getting everything organized in that regard.
How does he do that? Like, how does he challenge you guys?
Starts with team meetings, setting the tempo and how we're going to attack them, and just the mind frame and just the mindset that we got to have throughout the week to get some good work in.
There aren't many guys on this team that have played road playoff games. You've done it before. You got any message for the guys who have just been here at Arrowhead playing these games?
I think the biggest thing is just instead of it being on the road game, because everybody's played on the road, I think that it's more so in the playoffs. Just we take it up a notch from the wild card weekend last weekend. The playoffs are just everything just kind of it speeds up as you go along in the playoffs, and that's I think is more important to stay focused, understand your assignments a little bit more, so you can go out there and play as fast as you possibly can.
There's been a lot more snow still in Buffalo, so the stands are going to have snow. There were snowballs kind of getting thrown during some of the plays when they were playing the Steelers last week.
It's a hostile environment, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you got to just coach.
Bills Mafia, man. That's why that's their home field advantage. That's why it's. I'm sure the guys love playing for that fan base. You know, I grew up in Cleveland, man. We were throwing beer bottles at people, so.
Coach Reid said keep your helmet on, right? No one get hit in the head with a snowball. But it seemed like when he got down to the end zone, that's when you saw some snowballs, kind of like maybe when someone's throwing a pass to someone in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm watching the same stuff you're watching. I don't think there's any way to stop it. I just think, you know, you got to play in the conditions that you're playing.
Trav, we've seen Jason's emotion the past week or so, and I know he's not made a decision yet. How much are your thoughts with him and communicating with him and his process right now?
Yeah, it came out that he retired, and he didn't really say any of that. So it's just the end of that game. I think everybody kind of felt for him, knowing that he has been thinking about it a lot over the past couple of years. The documentary shows that you don't need to go around and ask anybody. So it's I don't know. It's just it's been cool to see everybody appreciate who he's been over the years this past week. But I think the big guy's still got some football left if he wants it.
Travis, what impressed you most about Rashid's first ever playoff performance last week?
I mean, obviously, I was proud of him. I think he's come a long way, and I think he's still ascending as a player in this offense. And you know, it's just been fun to see him rise to the occasion, and really just catapult us in a lot of ways, both in the pass game and run game. And it's just been awesome to see him accept the challenges every single week of. Week 10 through 15, it kind of, as a rookie, you kind of get lost a little bit. And he's been real focused throughout that, and really hasn't really hit a rookie wall as much as at least I did, for sure.
Were there things you saw about him way back when, like maybe in training camp, that let you know he was going to be able to come along? What were those things?
I would say just his attention to detail, his ability to kind of feel out defenses, be confident in what he's seeing in the defense to be able to find voids. I think he's been pretty spot on with that, and open to learning more about that kind of stuff. And obviously, when you're open to learning about stuff in this building, you're going to figure it out.
I was say, what kind of things does he come to you with? He's coming to you with questions and for advice from time to time?
I think nonstop. I just kind of developed a relationship with everybody on the team to talk through what we're going through out there on the field. Knowing that I've been in Coach Reid's offense for forever, I kind of understand how he wants it ran, how Pat likes some things ran, and then on top of that, just feeling comfortable in what you're seeing and kind of the rules and the leverages that the defense has. Sometimes you just need a little reassurance.
He's talked about that as far as, the options on routes and learning that and everything, and he's starting to kind of get a feel for it. How long did it take you to get a feel for, how your freelancing abilities?
It took me about, I'd probably say 5 to 6 years to feel comfortable. Coach Reed trusts me with some of the stuff I was doing, but it all happens in practice first, and you either get told don't ever do it again, or go, that wasn't bad. It's either one or the other, and then you just kind of learn as you go. And with that being said, the offense is at this point a lot more of a feel than it was when we first started, and I mean that's only helped out Pat a tremendous amount.
Well, the last two, Sam and then Nate. Go Sam.
Travis, you made the decision to sit out Week 18. Did you notice the effects of that benefit last week?
I noticed throughout the week I got to get a lot of good work in. Sometimes after a big game, you just take a few hits. Body just doesn't get back to tip-top shape until towards the end of the week and get to play again. That week I got to get some really good reps in early on, and I think that kind of helped me out even this week coming into this game.
Travis, you've been through it before, but when you face a team in a rematch sort of opportunity in the postseason, what of those experiences have you sort of learned about what you can do in a rematch versus obviously what the team just presents to you the first time?
Yeah, you got to play fast. That's the biggest thing. You got to play fast. You got to challenge the rules. They've seen things. They're going to be accustomed to a few things, especially with how many times we've played them, let alone in the playoffs, just as many times we played them over the past 4 or 5 years. And, you just got to play fast, understand the job that needs to get done, and make contested catches is going to be huge because they're going to have an idea of where we're going, and, you might have a guy on your hip, and we're going to need you to make a big play in those kind of moments. And those are the challenges we like to accept for sure.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Really good point about the contested catches there at the end. With if they have an idea of where you're going and they can follow that, then it might be a tighter window. It might be a more difficult catch. So catch it. so we need you to make a play is what he's saying. He would also be looking in the mirror with that as well in the so catch it, because he's had his struggles in catching the ball this year.
He could be tied with Mahomes could be tied with Gronk and Brady, and he caught the one at the 10.
Yeah, it was like the 6 or 7, but he only had one guy to beat.
I think he would have made a move.
How often does Travis Kelce get tackled by just one guy there? He's so slippery in the open field to where those slight little moves here and there. But yeah, so they'll be heading there, and interesting there also.
If they do a trick play and have Kelce throw back to Mahomes, would that count? Because it's a Brady-Gronk connection.
You're right.
Stat,
that would count.
Right?
That would count. I think they should do that. They should do that to break.
Guys, I'm always thinking about stuff like this.
Yeah, I think what the Chiefs need in the red zone
playing
is
boring sports press conferences.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking about.
You're thinking about ways the Chiefs can solve their red zone struggles by having their tight end throw it to their quarterback. I think that's a good idea.
Their Hall of Fame tight end.
I feel like they just
throw
don't
the ball to their Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yes, I feel like they just don't get creative enough down there.
Yeah, it gets a little stale.
Get cute. Don't get cute. Get hot. Okay, get gorgeous. I don't need you cute. Get gorgeous.
I'm ready for them to be a smoke show in the red zone.
Be a smoke show. Red zone smoke show.
I'm tired of your red zone cool personality.
Yeah, I don't need a basic. I don't need a basic B. Okay, give me a 10.
I want the kind of crazy red zone.
I know you're looking for 6 down there, but I don't need a 6. Okay. I need hot girl crazy down there.
I don't need the great sense of humor red zone.
We don't need personality.
All right.
Between the 20s, be sustainable. Nice, good conversations.
Marry her.
Get married between the 20s.
Yeah, I need down in the red zone. She might stab you.
Yeah.
You never know.
Just
that's crazy.
Go to New Orleans, don't leave the hotel room kind of relationship. That's what I want.
Behind your own 20, just barely even speak to me. Let's just
we pass in the hallway. We've
been married for 15 years.
Yeah.
Text me about the kids' sports schedules and nothing else.
What are we eating? What are you going to do tonight?
I saw. What are you making for me tonight? I saw a funny little Facebook meme that I said some people are born to prepare meals. Others are born to just stand there and talk to the people who are preparing meals. Like, that is me. I feel seen.
I feel seen.
I'll be there for you while you're doing whatever magic you're doing over there.
I can support you by doing that. So, yeah, the Chiefs will be heading on the road, Mick, if you didn't know. For the first time with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback, they'll be on a road game, and they're the underdog.
That is amazing. Not just the 8-year stretch, because usually those stretches involve very few playoff games, but the 15 game. No, wait, it's 17 game, right? Because there are a couple with Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah.
So it was a 14 game.
What in the Patriots game after the 15 season?
So 14 straight home playoff games, and then also 3 more games at neutral site. Air quotes with the Bucs game, but still neutral site. So yeah, 17 games in the postseason. They have played a full season's worth of games in the postseason before they have played on a true road game that the home fans will be there as the home fans, and not the tickets are corporate tickets like in Tampa. So at the Super Bowl, where there was Bucs fans, there were plenty of Chiefs fans there too, and there were a lot of corporate tickets there that there is typically at a Super Bowl. But so the Buffalo Bills, we'll see about the snowballs being
very big topic of conversation.
Lebo wants to get to the bottom of that damn. But also what can you do if the ball's in the air in the end zone and somebody throws a snowball? What can you do? You can't throw a penalty on the crowd.
You guys can handle the rest of the show without me, right?
If they did that, you would have visiting fans going in and dressing as home fans and then trying to get what, right? That'd be a good strategy.
They would also get kicked out of the game if they caught you.
Yes, I'm from Olathe, but I'm a huge Bills fan. Trust me.
I'm from Olathe, New York.
Yes, that's it.
Overland Orchard Park.
I'm just gonna go wait out front until Lebo gets home. I'm gonna just be out there until he gets here, and I'm gonna ambush him.
Willie Gay ambush.
Yeah,
hit him with a couple of snowballs there.
This is his home, by the way. He lives here. People don't know that.
Yeah, as you said, when he gets home.
When he gets home.
Here. I didn't know if maybe you were going to sit outside in the bushes of his actual house.
You know what?
There's some empty offices downstairs.
We live pretty close also. There's a big squishy chair down there you can sleep in if necessary. We put those miles on.
Sky Moore tweaked his knee yesterday, so he had been designated to return and had been limited in practice, and then did not practice today after tweaking his knee.
Are you putting the air quotes up over that as well?
Sure. I mean, that's fine, whatever. And Wanya Morris, that's interesting because he was limited at practice, and then with a concussion, then did not practice the last 2 days, still with that concussion. So this would be the second straight week he would miss after and being in the concussion protocol. But luckily,
I thought he was a
Donovan
DNP yesterday. Was he limited?
He was limited on Wednesday, and then he was downgraded to DNP yesterday on Thursday, and DNP today as well. He was full practice on Wednesday.
Right.
And then yesterday limited. You're right.
I'm thinking of Noddy hasn't practiced all week.
Yeah, Noddy's a DNP. Yeah, so he Wanya practiced in full on Wednesday. He was limited yesterday, did not practice today, still in concussion protocol. It's interesting there. And Noddy is out with the tricep. You'll see Donovan Smith back at left tackle, and Mike Minnell is going to have to step up and play this weekend, because you better have your run fits. If you're talking about James Cook and you're talking about Josh Allen.
Postseason, sign me up.
Postseason Pinnell.
Been good before.
Postseason Pinnell. Playoff Paul. Playoff Pinnell. That's what it is, man.
Playoff Mike.
I think he's a really good player. I think there's a lot of guys that, they bring up from the practice squad, or they're kind of those tweeners, right? Those hangers on that we kind of make jokes about. But I think he's a legitimate NFL player, and he can do some things.
The Chiefs' defense is one of the reasons why I am as confident as I am about this game, why I haven't really wavered in my confidence about this game, which is surprising because typically almost every week I'm going back and forth.
I am on the Jason Anderson train as well. Very confident.
Is there room?
Is there room?
On the Jason Anderson train?
Can you lift me up?
No, there's really not.
Because I was off that train. I was another mode of transportation.
It was so packed we had to throw Mama from the train.
Yes.
I am tied to the tracks in front of the Jason Anderson train.
Good for you.
Meaning you disagree with him or agree? I don't
just
know
for the
that
no,
metaphor.
I've left the actual original point. I'm just saying I'm going to die as it steams forward.
I wrote this song yesterday before I knew the difference between a boat and a train. Train on the water, boat on the tracks.
You guys having a good week?
Trim McDuffie was on the NFL Report podcast with Steve Weish and James Palmer. And I'm talking about the defense, why I've got confidence in this team, because the defense has been so good. I think they could ride the D through the playoffs. And he was asked when the mindset for the defense changed to being this sort of dominant, in-your-face, we're actually the number one unit on this team sort of feel and view happened with this group of players. Here's Trent McDuffie.
I think it just goes back to our offseason and Coach Spags coming in and being like, we know we won the Super Bowl, but our play in the Super Bowl and how many points we gave up, everybody was like, that wasn't our best showing. So all offseason, training camp, I mean, throughout this whole year, Coach Spags has been honest about being consistent, about being relentless, about trusting each other. And I felt like just the communication, just the overall chemistry out there on the field is just huge. I mean, guys trust each other. Guys know where we're going to be. That non-communication that we can just look out and know what each other are doing, I feel like has been so huge for us this year. And I keep saying we're a defense that knows what our offense can do. I mean, we got Patrick Mahomes on the other side, Trav. I mean, our offense is explosive. And so being able to go out there, get down on third down, stop them on fourth downs, give the offense the ball in good field positions. I mean, everything we can do to help this offense go put points on the board has been a big thing for us. And I'm just happy that everybody around here continues to just keep working. You know, there's never a game where we're like, we can be relaxed. You know, we go in each and every week knowing that it's going to be a game. And everybody around here trusts each other and goes out and does their job very well.
I like listening to Trent McDuffie talk. Yeah. And it's funny, he said it went back to the offseason. And the first thing I thought of when he said it went back to the offseason is I thought he was going to say training camp. But he goes all the way back to the Super Bowl where Steve Spagnuolo was like, yeah, we won the Super Bowl, not because of you. Not because of the people in this room. We won the Super Bowl because 38 points were put up by the other team. Although we did score 7 of those there,
and almost
not on the other side,
and
not the
almost
other team.
another 7.
Yeah, so we did get 7 of those there, Coach. But I get your point. I get your point. So I really struggled in the first half. And in the off season, I thought maybe he was going to say training camp because wasn't it as we look back now? Do we get a better idea and more context to what was taking place in training camp when the offense was getting mad and getting in fights with the defense? Because the defense was like, bleep you. We're going to bully the offense in training camp because we're not messing around this year.
Jack Cochran was even going to bully Travis Kelce, right?
Yeah. Even Jack Cochran was like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm coming right at you. Like it does not bother me whatsoever. I think in training camp we got a glimpse of this defense saying, no, we're not second fiddle on this team. Yeah. We're going to be just as dominant as you guys are this year, and we're going to go out and prove it.
I think the mindset's part of it, but a lot of times, a lot of years, we hear a lot of sides of the ball, a lot of players talk about different mindset and, you know, how good they're going to be. And it doesn't transpire. I liked yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the topic of conversation on the defensive side, the three amigos, right? The new addition at every level, and Hugh and Tranquil and Mike Edwards. I think there's a lot of, like, that's more of the tangible argument. Like, you put these pieces in, and I think that's helped quite a bit. I don't know as much Edwards over the other two. I think on the back end, you had a Fab Five. You had 5 defensive backs come in last year, go to a Super Bowl, right, and win it. And they've graduated to their sophomore year and become even better. I think that's a big reason. I think Drew Tranquil is one of the most valuable players on this team. And Hugh has exceeded my expectations tenfold and how good he's been.
Edwards
get another guy that can get pressure on the quarterback.
Edwards has become vital when Brian Cook went down. I mean, Edwards was playing his role.
When they played the Dolphins, he is very vital.
Yeah. That's right. But when Brian Cook's gone down, I mean, it would be Shamari Connor or Deion Bush playing that role. Instead, it's a guy who's played in the league for 4 years and was a starting cornerback last year. Played in the Super Bowl, right? Starting cornerback last year, or a safety last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I liked the signing. He's been better in the starting role than I thought he would be. I like the signing because he was a good third safety with the Bucs. Yeah. His first 3 years in the league, he was a third safety. He was pretty good. He got viewed as now you're the starter. And last year he wasn't all that good as the starter. He kind of got exposed. So I'm like, all right, if he's the third safety, I'm good with that. He's filling in for Brian Cook, and it's like, all right. But, you know, he's had his ups and downs, you know, in the time. But without him, it's Deion Bush or it's Shamari Connor playing that role. So that signing was instrumental. And Drew Tranquil, as being a coverage linebacker against the tight ends this weekend, you know, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and somebody to mirror Josh Allen, you know, to you know, make sure he doesn't get out there. And because if the Chiefs are going to play man-to-man, you better have a linebacker ready to go. I think they'll be playing a lot of zone, which if they're doing that, that's where the Trent McDuffie conversation comes in about how well they are at non-communication, just looking over and understanding, everybody sort of getting what the call is or understanding of what the adjustment may be, that guys know what they're supposed to be doing. Because this is the second full year for everybody outside of those 3 guys, and really it's just Tranquil and Edwards because, as Steve Spagnuolo talked about, Amenahu's a defensive lineman, so hey, you're running a twist on this, or you're doing that. Drew Tranquil, you got to know, you wear the green dot.
Everybody's spot. I mean, you're the quarterback of the defense. You have to know everybody's position. And I think overall, I think it always starts up front, and the improvements up front, I think, is the biggest reason why this defense is doing what it's doing, because you got a great secondary. But if you have no pass rush and they have to cover for 5 seconds, it's not going to be a great secondary.
Yeah.
Guys are going to get open. But you have, I think, 4 legitimate guys who can get to the quarterback on a regular basis in Jones, Amenahu, Karlaftis, and Mike Dana. I'll put him in there as well. Can get there. And so that's just huge. And then you mix in the Spagnolia blitzes, and you got McDuffie a part of things, and some of these other guys getting in there on blitzes. I think that's been the biggest reason. But yeah, I'm all about the mindset, but I think just the actual pieces they added are as much to do with it as anything.
The Kansas City Chiefs this year led the league according to Next Gen Stats. Mick, your go-to.
I like
this Gen Stats.
Last
Gen Stats?
Previous
Last
gens.
Gen Stats.
Previous Gen Stats.
I think last Gen Stats is your thing. There's something there.
Next Gen Stats. The Chiefs' defense led the league in unblocked pressures this year, with 73 pressures that
Okay,
were
say that again.
unblocked. So you
pressure.
pressured the
Okay.
quarterback and you
They
weren't
didn't-
blocked.
They didn't figure it out.
They
Yeah.
led the league with 73 on defense, unblocked pressures. So there's a lot of blitzes from Spag.
That's a coaching stat right
yeah,
there, right?
Right,
Okay, yeah,
absolutely. You're scheming up to where McDuffie's coming free. I mean, there was Josh Allen broke a couple of tackles where there was a free rusher, and he just shook off and then the Jags. So the Chiefs had 73 unblocked quarterback pressures. The Jags were second at 72. New England at 70, the Ravens 67, and the Vikings 65. And the Vikings blitz a lot.
Yeah.
Like their whole main scheme is sort of blitzing and blitzing and blitzing. Spagnolia, as Chris Jones likes to call him, his isn't just all-out blitz every time. Like his is going to be, we're going to do it at certain points. We're going to come from this angle. We're going to come from over there, or we're not going to bring it at all. And we're going to do some different things on the back end. Like the interception they showed with Tua, they go from one high to two high to one high in the just in motion.
And then they flip-flop the safeties.
Flip-flop
in
the safeties, and Mike Edwards
process.
is there. It's like all of that happening while Tua's, you got a guy going in motion and trying to figure out what the defense is doing, and then he ends up throwing it to one of the safeties because of Charles Amenahu walking the guard back into Tua's face and having to throw it a little bit high, and then it floats over Jalen Waddle, who also was, by the way, guarded. I mean, he was well covered in that time. So it's all 3 levels are working in concert right now, and that's been great to see. And outside of Derek Nottie, they're getting healthier. I know Brian Cook is not there, but that first Bills matchup, as I've talked about, the first Bills matchup, that was Nick Bolton's first game back after missing a number of weeks. And it was Mike Edwards' first game as a starter.
Yeah.
That the week before in the fourth quarter is when Brian Cook got injured. Mike Edwards gets in there. James Cook's wide open touchdown was Nick Bolton and Mike Edwards. He ran right by both of them for a 25-yard touchdown uncovered, and they both looked around. And so I'm hoping 6 weeks later, with those guys playing every snap together, that James Cook won't be left alone. He was also running free down the sideline later in the game. His 83 yards, 58 of them came on 2 plays.
Yeah.
A 25-yarder and a 23-yarder, in which both times he was wide open. That obviously can't happen. Those were big plays for James Cook. And I'm guessing with the guys that are there and have been playing for 6 weeks together, or however long that was week 14, so 15, 16, 17, 18, so 5 weeks or whatever, 5 games. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
I like Josh Allen has had great games, obviously, against the Chiefs, but one of his worst was that December game. I mean, he was 230 yards, touchdown, interception, pedestrian numbers there. And so I like that. And then I guess his worst game would have been the one they played at home in 2020. I don't know how much you can count that. There are no fans there. It's early in his career, all that stuff. So you got the recent game and it being back in Buffalo. So we'll see if that transpires.
And even in that bad game, Josh Allen still had the quarterback run for a touchdown. He had the dime that he threw to Deontay Hardy on 3rd down and long that ended up being the drive that they got the 20 points, got the last field goal to take the 20-17 lead. If he doesn't throw that absolute dime, then, they're punting. And the Chiefs have the ball tied 17-17 with 4 minutes to play. that didn't happen. I mean, it's the highs and the lows of Josh Allen. He can make these crazy throws, and then he can throw the ball right to Shamari Connor for some reason on second down.
Well, you talk about the Chiefs' health, and that's I think that's a big factor of these last 2 weeks. They have won the injury report. They have dominated the injury report both weeks, and I that factored in against the Dolphins because they dominated on the field. And, I'm confident that I don't know if the domination will be, but I think that's going to the Bills will be missing some of those guys in some key spots. Allen's always been a guy that he'll get a little happy feet, right? He'll throw off his back foot when he has pressure, and this is a Chiefs team that can bring it.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll get into some predictions. We got cuts before the show is over. More Zone right after this. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, hanging out here on this Friday, Chiefs Red Friday. All right, let's get into it. What do we think happens in the game? I have said earlier this week on Tuesday when we knew it was going to be the Buffalo Bills, bring it on. I have been concerningly confident for me this week because typically I'll go from
it's a weird adjective,
isn't it though? I'll go from
adverb.
Is it is
weird
it
word?
It's an adjective. It's an adjective verb.
Would it be an oxymoron?
What,
Easy.
Look,
He heard
just,
that.
Yeah, we
yeah,
got a few
I can
of
hear
those.
you.
Go to my
in-
ears.
Was that on the air or was that just in our
That's
ears?
on me.
Oh,
That's on me,
my
Jason. I apologize.
goodness.
Did you dump it at
Okay.
least?
Please,
No.
we don't we don't condone that type of language around. We're not a bully show. We don't bully people around here, okay? Everybody is there are no dumb ideas, just dumb people that have ideas.
And oxymorons.
Morons that use OxyClean. So we know that.
Kind of the jumbo shrimp of this show, Dylan.
That's right. So all week, like I've been pretty damn confident of the Chiefs winning, and typically I'll go from confidence to all right. There's some concern. All right, this is going to get them. This is how they lose. Okay, then all week, and some of it is injury related, certainly, but a lot of it to me is how good the defense is playing. And some of it's shaped by going back and watching the Bills and Chiefs game from earlier this year in Week 14. And my takeaway from that is how in the hell did they lose that game? Like, they lost.
Well, there was this play at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also a play earlier and another play earlier, and there were other plays earlier. That was one of the games where we talked about the 4 losses at the time, that when we looked at the top 4 plays of each game, we looked at expected points added and win probability, the biggest swinging, game-changing plays that were there. 3 of the 4 plays went the Bills' way. And all of them combined took 10.4 expected points
Wasn't
added off the
that
board.
fumble that was called an incompletion?
No, the main one was the Russo interception, or the Epinesa interception on the first drive.
That was unnecessary. That was bad, Pat. Pat.
And that was
But
on.
that was Wanye. That was his first
Wanye.
game, right? And
Yep,
that was
Wanye.
he
His first
beat
game as a
Wanye,
starter.
But still don't throw
and it
that
was
ball.
2nd and 5 at the Buffalo 30-yard line. So that was the main play, biggest changer. Rashee Rice's fumble at midfield. Chiefs scored a touchdown, got the ball right back. They're driving, get to midfield. Rashee Rice fumbles. The third biggest play was Jerick McKinnon's touchdown on third down and 4 or whatever it was. And then the fourth biggest play was the James Cook wide open broken coverage. So 3 of those 4 plays all went the Bills' way.
You're not throwing the Kadarius Toney play in that? Or did we not talk about that?
It technically never happened. So it wouldn't have a metric there.
That would be if we threw that, yes, that would be the biggest play if we want to look at what historically would be the biggest play.
Oh, it happened. It happened.
Yes,
it happened
for sure. But even not counting that, Mick, even if you take that out, the win probability percentage for those 4 plays combined for the Chiefs minus 30% and minus 10 points in a game where they lost by 3. Does that happen again, where those big plays bounce the Bills' way again with the defense and injuries that they have right now?
That play not only robbed us of that play, right, the offsides, not only robbed us of just that amazing play, but I believe the Bills would have had a $1:14 left. It kind of robbed us of okay, can this defense get a stop in that situation, right? Because before $1:14, we've seen the Bills, they scored twice, I think, in that amount of time. Could they get a stop? Because they really haven't been put. I can remember the Eagles game where they gave up a score late, but they haven't been put in that situation a lot where they needed to get a stop for a win, like we saw in the AFC Championship game last year in the Bengals. And so that would have been a good little litmus test of okay, this is a team you're probably going to see in the playoffs. Yeah, is this defense capable of doing that? And so it kind of robbed us of that as well.
I'd be perfectly comfortable if the Chiefs' defense is on the field up by 4 with a minute to play.
Sign me up
for plenty of
right
reasons,
now.
obviously. But
my buddy always says, "I'll settle out of court." I can't remember who it is, but I was settle.
Is your
out of
buddy
court.
Jason? Because Jason says that a lot. Okay, I'm just making sure.
I will settle out of court right now for that.
I'm so stupid.
That's all right. That's more about us thinking how stupid
wait
Nick
a
was.
second.
Hey, I say that.
I want to meet that guy.
Did you say friend?
I feel like such an oxymoron by not understanding who you're talking about.
Him and I have gotten there. Yeah, I think.
Mickey called you a friend. That's huge. I'm not even trying to reach that point. If I can get casual coworker.
Oh, I'll call anybody. No, I'll call anybody a friend.
Cool.
I was trying to pay you a compliment.
That may have. Yeah, I think that may have backfired.
I don't feel as special
Where's
anymore.
my friend Chad?
All right, I'm going 27-20 Chiefs over the Bills.
Oh, you're doing the over then?
Yeah.
Nick loves the over.
No, I don't.
Which is weird. Which is weird because all week I'm like, take the under.
Oh, where are we at the end of 45?
45 and a half.
Yeah.
45
I think
and
I'm
a
still
half.
there.
It opened at 47, so
it's
that's
still going to be cold AF, cold and fun.
Cold and fun. That's right. That's right. What do you think, Mick? You're going the under. You going 3-2?
I'm doing the under, and I'm going to do 23-17 Chef Tones.
23-17, so 50 points. I'm joking.
Wait a second.
I'm just joking. 23-17, the under hitting for Mick and the Chiefs winning. Dylan?
Sorry, Dylan. It was 23-20. What was the final?
2017.
2017. So
2017,
under in the December. Yeah, definitely done under.
Yeah, yep. And that was only 27 points that they got to. Anyway, go ahead, Dylan.
I think I'm going to go 27.
This game snuck up on him.
I know.
I was just going to say,
idea.
Apparently he hasn't thought about
it. He asked you, and then Mick interrupted, and then you still weren't ready for it.
Apparently he hasn't thought.
I feel like I wasn't prepared. Do you have a pen?
They no longer have a week off between the divisional round games.
I'm going to go 27-23. I didn't want to be Price is Right on Mick's score there, so I was trying to do the
24-17.
Yeah.
Take that, Mick. 27-23.
Yeah, a little higher scoring.
Okay, so you're also going over.
I'm doing halves. If over under can
Are you
have,
also taking the Chiefs? You didn't say the team yet.
Yeah, Chiefs. I don't like it. I think that I have a weird feeling that this is the 06 Colts year for the Bills and the 86 Giants, the 76 Raiders. All these teams that had to get over a dynasty at home. And this is basically their best shot, so that
somebody
worries
read an article.
No, this is the thing. He's just got all that. Dylan's just he falls asleep watching America's games, and I think he absorbs it through his sleep somehow.
Could barely make it through community college, but can remember every single thing about the NFL for some reason.
Well, because you couldn't major in NFL.
Dylan, I could do football coaching for a class, but that's about it.
They don't drug test to watch NFL Network.
They don't.
Thank God.
Josh, what do you think happens in the game?
I'm going to give you the final score. I think it's going to be.
That's what we're asking.
The under. A little suspense. 23.
Oh, God.
20. But.
Oh.
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay. Okay. So you didn't really need a butt there.
Now I was making it sound like I was going to say Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like the butt was inserted where it didn't need to be. So
Tails all this time.
Don't go, Rick. Hey, tail. This guy.
So we all went the Chiefs. Good. Cool. No homer picks around here.
I've been picking against the Chiefs
You have, that is true.
since Thanksgiving,
Mick earned
basically.
it. I don't think we did.
Yeah.
I picked the Bills to win the first game.
I was inspired by that performance last week.
People want me to be correct in my 2 predictions for Bills and Chiefs. I picked the Bills to win the first game. Now picking the Chiefs to win this one. So, you guys should rely on me more. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and get the cuts before the show is over. More Zone next. starting at 6 o'clock. Best of Chiefs coverage. All right, let's get into the cuts before the show is over. Dylan, roll it, man. I hate him. I hate Mahomes. I hate Andy Reid. I hate every one of them. I hope they lose. I hope they lose every game. Wow. Faking an injury. The refs have their back. I'm going to throw this picture of Mahomes and a referee kissing. Just going to keep putting that picture out there. The referee and Mahomes exchanging jerseys at the end of the game. I hate them all. Hate them all. It's not usually what I sound like when I'm speaking for myself, but...
Is that AI? That
was Jason.
No, that was, I believe I was using the words of a Buffalo fan.
Hard to say for sure. Play the next one.
Has familiarity in going to Buffalo and playing in the playoffs.
Well,
okay.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry.
Keep going. That was a fun.
Did you jump him?
We did.
Yeah.
We dumped the.
Those listening online, there is no dump, but whatever. The Ghostbuster himself, Patrick Mahomes, has eliminated. You in the bathroom or
whatever it takes to get this.
Yeah. You're trying to unpack this answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it.
Unpacking something.
Nailed it. Keep going. So we talked about sort of your feeling heading into this postseason, Matt.
Who's on a landline?
What are you confident in?
Us.
As Nancy will tell everyone, I'm the worst person in the world when it comes to getting oil changes because I just don't believe in this.
Well, that's the worst opinion that's ever been stated on this airwaves.
I don't believe in oil
That's the one
changes.
thing that's going to keep your car going. If you do nothing else, keep the oil changes going. Right, get fresh oil in there. Keep it running.
What about agnostic? What about this agnostic? What about oil changes? I don't believe in them. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Don't believe in them.
Oh,
it's a
boy.
scam by
big oil, big engine.
Big oil's already a thing.
Big oil. Go. Field Yates is our guest. He is from ESPN, NFL Insider.
What's left of me, at least.
Yeah, Field didn't have a voice on Monday.
It was a tough one for Field.
He sounded like he had been smoking for a while.
I was shirtless on Saturday night, negative 30-degree weather. Totally worth it. A little windburn never hurt anybody.
That's Field Yates.
That's Field Yates. I know.
That's what he sounded like on Monday after being apparently out there at the Chiefs game shirtless.
That last touch, I'm Gonzo Broski.
Gonzo Broski. Thank you, Todd.
Todd's getting younger
every day. It's Benjamin Button.
Skip the two-parter, Dylan. I think it's pretty close. Play something funny.
Play something fun. Walking into the studio.
He's just got his headphones ready. He's ready to jack in. What?
Hey.
It was Curtis.
Yeah.
Was ready to take over.
Plugging his headphones.
Show.
Jacking in.
Yep. It is jacket on weather and coat on weather all weekend long. Mick, hey, thank you for stopping by, man.
Thanks for having me. Love it.
You believe in that D this weekend?
Going to ride the D as long as possible.
Let's go to Buffalo and back and then to Baltimore or here. Who knows?